Hello
there.
there. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And today, episode 192 of Star Wars in a Galaxy, we got a banger episode for you all today. 3 wildly different episodes of Star Wars Rebels Season 3. Secret Cargo, Double Agent Droid, and an episode that looks strangely like a four-legged animal, because it is the goat. Twin sons.
I know you're gonna say some shit like that.
We will get into my feelings about Twin Sons very soon. But Jacob and I are not here alone for I was gonna say penultimate episode of In a Galaxy Season 23, but that's not true because we have a retrospective. The third to last episode of Star Wars In a Galaxy Season 23. We have frequent guest on the show, friend of the show, unofficial main character of Star Wars in a Galaxy Epic Confrontations, host of the Nerd Academy podcast, Soren Zaith, on the new All Remaining Systems RPG show, A Luminous Odyssey, Jarod the Dark Jedi.
Hello. I'm used to being like really heavy in the plugs when I have to do them. I think this is the first time that somebody else had to like front load me with an introduction, and now there's a part of me that feels guilty for it. But no, hello, I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be here. The brain fart on Soren's name was hilarious.
It's been one episode, okay?
It has been one episode. No, what's funny to me is like I feel like that is the reaction that Jorah Molly has when I'm like when Soren is like visible on the holocall. It's just like, fuck, Soren Zaith.
I'll say this. I'd say about a third chance that I would have accidentally said Fabian Martell.
It's okay. I accidentally say Fabian Martell like 8 times in the episode, so it's okay. But yeah, hello. I'm honored to be here. This is a fun run of episodes. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that I am here for one in particular to go kind of sicko mode on. But either way, I am very, very happy to be here, gentlemen.
I'm excited. We're both excited to have you here. So we got 3 episodes. Well, first of all, let's get into our summaries before we start going. Jacob, why don't you commence with your summaries?
In Secret Cargo, we open on the Ghost crew minus Kanan hiding in the wreckage of an old Munificent-class Separatist frigate, waiting for an unknown fueling rendezvous said to be ordered by Bail Organa. An Imperial infiltrator droid in its pod drops into the system out of hyperspace. The Ghost manages to shoot it down after trying to evade detection, just as Gold Squadron and the Rebel transport they've been waiting for drop into the system. The Ghost docks with the transport, but an Imperial light cruiser follows them out of hyperspace pretty quickly, disabling the transport and forcing everyone to evacuate to the Ghost. Ezra hops into a Y-wing to help Gold Squadron hold off the TIE fighters, while Hera meets Mon Mothma, realizing that she, the senator on the run, is actually the cargo. The Rebels manage to disable the cruiser, and the Ghost and Gold Squadron are able to escape into hyperspace. Mon Mothma tells Phoenix Squadron that she's trying to get to a meeting of Rebel leaders on Dantooine, the meeting, as Hera says, where the disparate Rebel cells and factions will unite into the Alliance to restore the Republic. Back on Lothal, Thrawn gets word of the Rebel transport's escape and suspects that it's Mon Mothma. He orders Constantine and Price to cut off their escape route through the Archeon Nebula, which is an old smuggler's route, and he deploys the prototype TIE Defender. The TIE Defender chases the Rebels into the nebula, and the Ghost makes it through as Ezra and John Vander, Gold Leader, dogfight Volt Scarus' TIE Defender to hold him off. The Ghost is cut off by Price and Constantine's Star Destroyers, who catch them in a tractor beam just as they're trying to leave the nebula. Ezra and John are able to shoot proton torpedoes at the nebula, causing massive explosions that disable the tractor beam, allowing the Ghost to escape with Mon Mothma. They make it to the rendezvous point over Dantooine, and Mon Mothma transmits a speech, speaking out against the repression and violence of the Empire. She proclaims the beginning of a unified rebellion and resigns from the Senate, announcing her intention to topple the Empire and restore the Republic. And there's a final scene of all the different Rebel ships that we come to know and love throughout the original trilogy dropping out of hyperspace. We see MC-80s, Nebulon Bs, GR-75, Hammerheads all coming together in a triumphant ending of the episode. In Double Agent Droid, We are on board with AP-5 Chopper and Wedge Antilles, headed on an Imperial Sentinel-class shuttle to retrieve clearance codes needed for an attack on Lothal. They are headed to the planet Killen 71, which is home to Killen Station, an Imperial Security Bureau base. The three rebels managed to make it to Killen Station undetected, bickering about how to infiltrate the base. However, there is an Imperial electronic warfare ship that arrives in the system, with the controller of the ship realizing who Chopper is, and realizing that it's the rebel droid that has previously infiltrated the Empire several times. He knows this because he says Thrawn sent out a memo about it in hopes of tracking down the droid. While AP-5 downloads the clearance codes needed for the attack on Lothal, the controller remotely captures Chopper when he plugs into the system and reprograms him, taking control of the droid. Chopper and AP-5 return to the shuttle. The three spies depart from the planet. On their journey back to the Ghost, AP-5 starts to suspect that Chopper's new attitude is suspicious, and he tells Wedge he thinks Chopper is compromised, but Wedge is not convinced, thinking that it's just more bickering between the two droids. AP-5 and Wedge make it back to the Ghost, and they hand the codes off to Hera, with AP-5 pleading with Hera and the crew to listen to him that there's something wrong with Chopper, but she doesn't listen to him and finds him downloading hyperspace logs. At this point, Hera and the crew also begin to suspect that something's wrong with Chopper, but Chopper manages to trick the crew into the cargo hold and seals them in there, taking control of the ship and installing an Imperial data spike to transmit the location of the rebel base to the Empire. AP-5 goes on a spacewalk outside the ship to reach an access panel and try and override the controls from the outside, but just as he does this, Chopper flies in and knocks him off the ship into space. When Chopper comes back inside, Zeb ambushes Chopper and disables him before the data transfer can be completed, so they stop the data spike, and Hera uses Chopper to send a signal back to the Imperial data ship, overloading its electronics and causing it to explode. We end with a scene of AP-5 floating all alone through deep space, and he gets this great little musical number surrounded by baby Nibre mantas, but his cosmic ecstasy is interrupted by the Ghost, which comes back to pick him up, much to his dismay and against his wishes. In Twin Suns, Ezra Bridger receives a holocron message and tells the Ghost crew that they must go to Tatooine to save Obi-Wan Kenobi from Maul. The crew refuses, believing that Kenobi died during Order 66, that the message is a trap set by Maul. Ezra and Chopper nonetheless sneak away, and they head to Tatooine, but their ship is destroyed by Tusken Raiders soon after they arrive. Guided by the holocron, Ezra and Chopper set off across the desert in search of Kenobi. After hours of wandering across the dunes, Chopper runs out of power and shuts down. Ezra is haunted by visions of Maul, telling him that he failed his loved ones. Shortly afterwards, Ezra collapses, passing out. He awakens to find that Kenobi has rescued him and Chopper, and Ezra tries to warn Kenobi that Maul is after him and he needs to help, and asks him to help the rebellion. Kenobi refuses, saying that the rebellion already has everything it needs to fight the Empire. He has no intention of dueling Maul, although he knows it may now be inevitable. Maul finds the pair at their campfire. Kenobi sends Ezra and Chopper away to safety before facing off with Maul in a lightsaber duel. There's a big build-up, a period of suspense, and Maul strikes first, but Obi-Wan Kenobi quickly counters him and defeats him in just a few strokes. Maul dies in Kenobi's arms, with Kenobi staying by his side and revealing to him that he is watching over who he believes to be the Chosen One. And Maul's last words are that he thinks the Chosen One will avenge us. He says he will avenge us to Obi-Wan. Ezra and Chopper return to base on Maul's ship, and Ezra tells the rebels that Maul is gone and apologizes for sneaking away. The episode ends with Obi-Wan watching a young Luke Skywalker from a distance at the Lars family's moisture farm.
Let's launch into the episode. 3 very unique episodes. We have Andor Season 2, Episode 9.5. We have whatever the fuck Double Agent Droid is, which we'll get into. And then we have the culmination of a decade-long, in real life, and multiple decades in universe feud. But let's get into Secret Cargo, why don't we? We start off with the Ghost crew specifically Hera, Ezra, and Zeb, being somewhere. They don't even know where the fuck they are, which is a great sign to begin this episode. But immediately, Hera tells Ezra and Zeb, whoever they are, Senator Organic wants to get them where they're going, and he's trusting us to get them fuel. To which I ask, did you not all see the Emmy-winning episode? Dan Gilroy won Emmy for that episode. Have you guys not seen Andor Season 2? Everybody was talking, the revolution starts now, all that kind of stuff. Come on, guys. Get up on Star Wars characters not watching Star Wars yet again.
I had a little bit of a late start today, and I had to do a pro and noob with Mitch. So my whole day has basically been. It started with 3 episodes of Attack on Titan, and it ends with 3 episodes of Star Wars Rebels. The tonal whiplash is going to give me neck problems.
And you just mean from Attack on Titan, right?
Yeah. But I wanted to try to watch Welcome to the Rebellion before I watched Secret
The
Card.
thought had crossed my mind, and for before you go any further, I just want to say, because I know we're going to be making references, Jacob has not seen Season 2 of Andor.
You're not missing much.
I mean, I was like, I'll get to it. I built up a backlog.
I'm telling him to hold off on it because we're gonna watch the first 9 episodes right after we finish Rebels.
Yeah.
We're gonna save the last 3 because I want them to go directly into Rogue One. That goes directly into A New Hope. But
no, that makes sense.
But
at like 80% trolling.
Jacob has heard enough Andor slander from me, so trust me, it's gonna be.
I don't need to help you at all with that.
We've got like the biggest like. Not I don't know if I call you. I don't know if I call you an Andor hater.
Because I don't hate it. In fact,
we've got the biggest like Andor like troll and the biggest like Andor booster, like supporter, Andor lover, season 1 lover. Me
and trust
on
me,
the same sitting across from each other week in, week out.
And trust
me, we're used
a lot of this episode of Secret Cargo, I'm going to talk about how well I think this episode works with Andor. Yeah, because I think it does.
It really does.
Other than one thing, which I'm still kind of irritated about, but that's a pet peeve of mine. And Jared, I think you'll probably understand what I'm talking about immediately as I say it. But immediately it's the speech. It's the fucking speech. Immediately right next to my notes, I name the Emperor himself for ordering the brutal attacks on the people of Gorman. Their peaceful world is one of countless systems helpless against his oppressive rule. This massacre is proof that our self-appointed emperor is little more than a lying executioner, imposing his tyranny under the pretense of security. We cannot allow this evil to stand. Dan Gilroy, where the fuck was this in the episode?
You don't have to worry about continuity in those fucking kiddie shows.
I'm still annoyed.
There's a purple gorilla man in this, Eli. Do you think that silly little alien's going to win any Emmys? Come on now.
It's not like he's going to be in a major motion picture next year or anything.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I will say how I headcanoned this, because I had to immediately after Welcome to the Rebellion came out figure out, okay, how am I going to do this? Is that this was the speech that Mon gave as like a PR speech in between the actual speech we see in Welcome to the Rebellion and the time we get her in this episode. Somewhere in there on the transport that she's put on into the end of that episode. And wow, Jacob, am I spoiling a lot of that episode for you? But honestly,
at this point, I deserve it. At this point, I deserve it.
I was also just going to say, honestly, a lot of the things I'm saying, you could probably have logicked out because...
Yeah.
Anyway, point being, somewhere in there on that transport we see at the end of the episode, I imagine she said something like that, which I actually do still think it works really well with the Andor speech.
I think it makes, I mean, based off of what you're saying about it, obviously I don't know as much as you guys do at this point. She, like, cat's out of the bag. She's on the run. She's renounced the Empire. She's come out swinging against Palpatine. She might as well just get out as many transmissions as she can and hope that people hope that the right people will hear what she has to say. Like, I'm good with the idea that she was just just jacking up multiple transmissions, just getting them all out there. Just
And it
kinda
makes
It
sense.
works
get
as
the
a
word
good
out,
rule
you
of
know?
threes thing too. It works as a
Yeah.
really good rule of threes because it's like you have her giving her statement
Yeah, in
before
Welcome
the
to
Senate
Rebellion.
that like
Then you do
is
the
that gets broadcast because it's
Yeah.
happening in the Galactic Senate. And then you have her doing like a little bit of like a pirate radio, like I'm putting this out there for the people who are willing to hear it. I
Yeah.
made you hear me in the Senate. Now I'm putting this out for the people who want to hear me. And then by the time we have her broadcasting to specific rebel cells, it's
above deck warning.
and I know that y'all already know what's up.
Yeah.
And now's the time. Like it goes from like statement of condemnation, like putting out a statement of like we can do this, and then it's a we are gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it's like almost its own like 3-act play in that way.
I agree with you, and I think that works really well, and especially because, and I now acknowledge this because it also makes sense that she had to make a second speech that gets straight to the point, because her first
Yeah.
speech, and I'm never going to argue that first speech in Welcome to Rebellion is bad. It's great, but it builds the hell up. Only at the end do you get, and the monster is Emperor Palpatine. You start going with the death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil. You get the monster that screams the loudest. You're building up, and it makes sense. This is a hallowed body. I mean, it was a hallowed body before the Emperor corrupted it, but like these are the high-minded intellectuals, so to speak, where you have to build. In the old days, I'm thinking of like the U.S. Senate or something like that, or similar institutions where you have to build in references to the ancient Greeks or the ancient Romans or some hallowed orders, something like that. That is the audience that Mon is delivering the Welcome to the Rebellion speech to. With the second speech, with the speech we see at the beginning of the episode, it is direct, straight to the point. The Emperor did the Gorman massacre. He was responsible, or at least he was responsible for the Gorman massacre. This is the straw that broke the camel's back, which, as we know, and I'm about to spoil another big portion of Andor Season 2, this is the first ever on-screen utterance, at least in real life, of the Gorman Massacre.
Yeah.
This is the episode that brings the Gorman Massacre into canon. As we've discussed before on In a Galaxy, the Gorman Massacre was originally in Legends, and the original Gorman Massacre was actually, Jacob, I think you'll find this cool, mentioned in Andor before the new one. The one where Tarkin lands his Star Destroyer on a group of protesters, that still happened in canon. It's now called the Tarkin Massacre, not the Gorman Massacre, because the Gorman Massacre is the one that happens in Andor. But
actually, Commissioner, he lands his shuttle on a group of protesters, not his entire Star Destroyer.
Did they change it to shuttle in canon?
I think they say shuttle.
They say shuttle. Okay, in Legends it's Star Destroyer. So
wild.
It's incredibly wild. Yeah, but anyway, like in canon, it is the event that's inspired Mon Mothma to start the rebellion. But unlike in canon, in Legends, the Gorman Massacre is like the first indication that, oh shit, we can't solve this through politics. Like in canon, of course, we get the Mon leaves the Senate, starts the Rebel Alliance in full, as we see in this episode.
Yeah.
A lot of table setting, all to say that I think this episode lines up very well with Welcome to the Rebellion.
The only thing it's missing in terms of like canonicity, sorry, Jacob, is just that like they never really go to Kashyyyk and look at Kento Merrick's family crest so they can find their symbol.
Coming next year on Star Wars in a Galaxy.
They also like don't acknowledge the fact that like it was guys who founded the rebellion, not girls. I mean, that's what Luthen Rail's there for. It's a guys' rebellion. Like, anyway, Jacob, you're going to say something meaningful, and I'm just being a jackass. I'm being a troll. I'm being a troll.
Not at all. The one thing actually that just occurred to me is that this is around 2 years, 2 BBY, sometime in 2 BBY, we're getting this directly after the conclusion of on Wikipedia actually in their canon timeline. This is, as of now, like the direct next thing right after Welcome to the Rebellion. And she says to Hera, Mon says to Hera, I'm beginning to, something along the lines of, I'm beginning to realize there are things that can't be solved in the Senate. I'm realizing that we have to take a different path. We have to go to war, is what she's saying. Sort of in Andor season 1, she already was like kind of like having this whole front, and there was all the underground stuff that she was taking part in and directing funding to 3 years prior. That to me was a little bit, I was a little bit confused by exactly how that fit together. It's not the end of the world, but that was a question that I wanted to raise to you guys, how you view that and what she's saying now. How does that square with Andor, which obviously season 1 of Andor came much later. This was before that, but chronologically at least.
I think on some level with that specific hang up, I think there's something to be said for like, I think Mon Mothma, I think she believes that the function Luthen Rail serves is to spark a like day and date revolution. That Luthen will either, that what Luthen is doing, what she's helping bankroll with Luthen Rail and his network, is either going to humiliate the Empire to the point where the Emperor is removed from office through civic means or through like an uprising, but like never full scale war. I truly don't think Mon Mothma has even remotely considered the idea that war could be an option on an ethical level for her, but also on a logistical level. Like, I truly think
Very
that
good
like
point.
Mon Mothma is also like, we'll fucking die. Like, our best bet is for people to be upset enough to threaten to do something, and maybe that will allow us to like get the institutions back on our side. Like, I know a lot of hay was made out of the whole Tony Gilroy saying that Mon Mothma is Nancy Pelosi. I have my own Nancy Pelosi comparison with regards to Yoda, but
Anyway,
being silenced.
Eli.
But what I do think that comparison rings very, very true is when you have a bureaucrat, a career bureaucrat, even one whose heart is in the right place, who believes all the right things, who is a decent being, they put all of their faith into institutions and systems and bureaucracy. And in the same way that we have watched 2 times now, the Democratic Party in our own world, in our own country, fully think that systems and norms and bureaucracy can outfox just shit-eating fascism. How many times have we watched this happen? How many times have we watched this happen? More than we can count at this point, between 2 whole ass Trump, not whole ass unfortunately yet, but like between 2 Trump administrations. How many times have we watched like grown ass adults look an ugly situation in the face and go, oh yeah, norms and institutions will fix this? So I think that's also part of where her mind is. And I don't think that she quite understands quite yet, in a way that I think Luthen understands, and in a way that I think Saw Gerrera understands and uses as a blank check to do some wild shit. The way that like institutions like the Empire and evil, heinous people in our real world behave. If I could make a reference to my favorite podcast, Knowledge Fight, they told hold on though, this is like a skeleton key that opened my mind. They were talking about how Alex Jones has evaded all of the bankruptcy legislation, and how he has basically been publicly hiding a shit ton of money and nobody will do anything about it. And the host, Dan Friesen, told a story about when he played soccer as a kid, and how this one kid on the other team fouled somebody on his team. And the kid was given one of the yellow cards. And the kid took the yellow card and ate it. He ate the yellow card. And then the referee, having no idea how to respond to eating the yellow card, gave him a red card. And then the kid ate the red card. And the whole concept of eating the red card is like been the way to describe like American politics anymore. And to a certain extent, I think it's imperial politics as well. Like, how do you give the red card to a government that's building the fucking Death Star?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point do norms and decorum and institutions mean anything
And we talked about this
when you
quite a bit.
blow planets up?
And we talked about this a few episodes ago when we were talking about the end of Ghosts of Geonosis, when they're trying to, where Bale tells Hera that only the pictures of the gas canisters that they used to genocide the Geonosian people, only pictures wouldn't convince the Senate. And I was like, well, no, I don't think the canisters would
Yeah.
convince the Senate.
Canisters aren't doing shit either.
They're so propagandized. They are so in the imperial thought like machine. Like they're like genocide of one planet of folks who were enemies in the last war. They're not gonna care.
These fuckers killed the Jedi Knights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think a single person on 500 Republica gives a rat's ass about a Geonosian? These are the same people who greenlit the Jedi. You're out of your goddamn mind if you think they give a damn about Clint Clack. Fuck you.
That's true.
So, and again, it applies to Bale. It's like, if there's one element, and again, Eli and I love to Josh Andor a little bit, but if there's one thing that I do really appreciate about Andor, it is like the tone a lot of these characters take when it comes to fighting the Empire. That it is like, no, we need to kill some of these goddamn people.
Yeah.
Like, there's
institutions aren't going to protect themselves when no one respects the institutions anymore.
Yeah, we're not voting our way out of the Gorman massacre. Like, unfortunately, we might need to put a couple blaster holes inside of a couple Imperials. And it's that willingness to fight, and it's that willingness to not solely rely on the institutional power.
Yeah.
And I think
Mon, to long-windedly answer your question, Jacob, I think that is like where Mon is coming from. This, she's like, oh, like we need to fight, not just like morally, but like with guns and stuff.
Actually, like physically fight. And I think that
I'm very satisfied with your explanation. Thank you, Jared. That was very good.
Going back to your question too, I'm just my own take on it is that is so much to me of what Mon's arc is in Andor.
Yeah.
And by Welcome to the Rebellion, obviously she's there. She's still trying to get used to a lot of the things, and we'll see later in this episode that she's still trying to get used to some things. Obviously, the big thing in Andor is look at the face she makes when Cassian shoots Cloris.
Yeah.
She is stunned. She cannot believe this. I mean, she didn't like the guy, but she knew him. But he was going to
get aired out either.
Yeah. He was going to turn her in. So Cassian did what needed to be done. And she is going to, and I actually wrote this in my notes. I'd love to see more storytelling of Mon in between Rogue One and Jedi, of how she gets to, well, I don't want to do this, but we got to do warfare now, to the Emperor has made a critical error and the time for our attack is now. There's no hesitation when Carolyn Blackiston's Mon says that. There is no, I don't want to do this. There is, let's go. Let's blow up this thing.
We're gonna kill Palpatine. Like,
yeah.
like that. And you're right. Like that jump from like, oh, like I'll fund a little bit of insurgency here to maybe like again inspire people to protest and fight back on like a smaller scale, on an institutional scale, or like weaken faith in the Emperor. Whatever she thinks is happening is a far cry from, hey guys, we're going to take every ounce of firepower we have in our ragtag little band of merry fucking misfits, and we're going to kill the Emperor. Like, we're gonna kill him. This isn't like we're going to take this planet and we need supply routes and we're going to vote. I, Mon Mothma, want you to blow up the Emperor. Like that just over the course of like 4 years.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I'd love to see her evolution because I think there is a very believable arc there, just like from that we got in Andor. From I can change this from within to now we gotta fight.
So by the time of secret cargo, you guys see her, she's fully abandoned the almost the false comfort that she had of believing that the institutions could fix this, of believing that she could keep going to the Senate, keep making speeches, petitions, resolutions,
On the
and
run.
that eventually that would rein in Palpatine.
I think she's
She's past
She is
that at this
resigned
point,
from
from what
the
you guys are saying.
I think I don't know if she's fully abandoned it. And this is like a distinction without a difference. But like I don't think she's abandoned it. I think she's realizing she has to. I think she's realizing that like there's no way forward that isn't like taking up arms in a real way. And not to get way beyond our mandate here, but I also think that like I also think there's something to be said for like this, like these are the moments where you can already see the not the rot, but like the failings in the New Republic. That like there is an instance where you have to go like, yes, like war is bad, fighting is bad. It's a thing we don't want to have to do. But I also think that there might be some amount of like internalized shame in the New Republic that it came to violence. And I think that on some level, the New Republic lives its life not being able to be its own government, but like instead like constantly trying to like in its own mind unfuck things that the Galactic Republic and the Galactic Empire did. And part of that is like a unwillingness to go, this is a fight worth having. And I think the fact that it takes Mon Mothma to, as we said, go from let's vote about it, let's have a pinky promise about we're going to have a vote about not genociding any more entire planets, to we're going to blow up the Emperor. I think in that time, in the immediate aftermath, Mon Mothma is like, yeah, and I sure never want to have her have to do that again. I really think that was really unpleasant. And I think it's a marker of her being a good, decent person. I think it makes her a good person, that there is kind of an internalized shame over the warfare. But I think that there's also, again, like going back to like the aesthetics of government, the aesthetics of normalcy that colored why it took so long to get here. I think there is some amount of like, okay, well, that's a dirty business that we never want to take up again. Even when like, oh,
a dirty
Thrawn's
business
back.
that we never want to take up again. Asterisk. Coming soon in 2026, Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah, but like again, like how much did it take for people to go, okay, maybe we got to fight Thrawn again?
Yeah.
So like it's that
like
constant,
yeah. Well, if I can make a sort of a real world parallel, it's almost like that Europe and the Triple Alliance, or post World War One, you sort of after such a massive, unprecedented bloodletting of that scale. And I don't think that, as far as I know, aside from the Death Star and a couple of other things, I think the rebellion wasn't maybe the same wanton destruction on the same scale as the Clone Wars was. Regardless, I think it's the same kind of shame and just reluctance to go back to that place.
Yeah,
I might add, to go back to that warfare.
And it's incredibly well-meaning, but it breeds complacency.
I mean, the New Republic, if there's one word to describe the New Republic, even from what we've seen so far in the Filoni-verse, Mandalore, and everything like that, if there's one word, it's complacent to describe them.
Yep.
Yeah.
But just to get us back on track a little bit, I just want to mention to like go episode. No, it's fine. It's totally fine. But just going, we usually like to mention the openings and the cut titles and how well we think they set up the episode. This is just the EXD Infiltrator droid, which I think is fine.
I love that they bring it back, though. It's not just a one-off.
I think that's cool. Although I'm a little surprised Zeb didn't have a moment where he's like, hey, I recognize that thing. But still, they do the like very thriller, very kind of like alien-ish. Wow. Like, are they going to find them? Oh no, this is the droid's closing in on them. But then we get the fleet. Phoenix leader, this is a gold squadron. We meet Dutch Vander and Erskine Samaj, who's seemingly magically been forgiven by Mon Mothma for being an agent of Luthen Rail in the last like 24 hours. Obviously, that wasn't an element of canon, But I do think it is a good omen of Mothma's heart that she is able to, like, that she's clearly hurt by it in Andor, but like by the time that Rebels comes around, she's letting, like, they're bigger fish to fry. Let's
I
move
think
on.
that's emblematic as well, or that's indicative of her realizing what it's going to take to take on the Empire in warfare, as she says. And that's going to be
Precisely.
at times willing to say my enemy is my friend. We have to focus on the bigger picture, focus on the bigger threat at hand.
Yeah. And also understanding that like the way Luthen operates, like, oh, you had a secret agent like up my ass for however long, kind of understanding that in a weird way, that's an act of care from
Yeah.
Luthen.
Like, it wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't like he wasn't ever intending to betray her. Like, not as long as she kept doing what she was doing, which there was no universe in which she wouldn't.
Yeah,
So,
he
like,
just needed somebody close enough to be like, here's what's going on, and also pull the ripcord if shit goes sideways. And I think that all again, it's like Mon understanding, like, okay, like this is indicative of it's all bigger than everything now. I have somebody who wants to stand by me while shit gets crazy. Okay, I got you. I guess let's do this.
yeah,
Like you
Yeah.
said.
But Gold Squadron it quickly boards the Ghost. They're cranky with the Ghost crew because, quote, the Imperials have tightened security throughout the entire Outer Rim as a result of you blowing up Tarkin's Star Destroyer.
Some would
In
say
which,
that's a good thing, Luthen.
first of all, that's exactly what I wrote in my notes afterwards, so
Yeah.
good job. Second of all, Aldhani much? Like, I'm not saying Mustafar wasn't cited in the PORD. It probably was, but like Aldhani was the reason for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think part of this too is just the broader one of the broader themes of Rebels coming into play, really more in season 2 and into season 3, but there's that Kanan line, the sort of ongoing conflict and sort of negotiation of Kanan and Hera, you're figuring out how it is and what it means to be in an organized military force, essentially, is what they're part of when they join Phoenix Cell. And I know it really starts. Kanan says fighting alongside soldiers is not what I signed up for. That really starts in season 2. I can't remember how much of it bleeds into season 3 exactly of the conflict, but part of this is also the rebels being confronted with the reality of, or the by the rebels, the ghost crew specifically being confronted with the reality of, we can't just go out there and be mavericks and blow shit up. Now that we're part of this larger organization, we have to do what's best for the collective mission of freeing planets and systems from the Empire. And it's also just two different philosophies, because then again, Luthen might agree with Ezra and the Ghost crew.
I think
Obviously, Gold Squadron does not.
I think there's an idea that's very much in simpatico with Andor here, with the exfiltration of Mon Mothma is a Luthen rail op. That is a mission Luthen gave.
Yes.
And it sounds like by the time that they're talking about Bail Organa wants this cargo to go wherever, it sounds like Bail and Luthen kind of got on the same page about halfway through this op. But like the way it's presented in Andor is very much a Luthen thing. And
yeah, I think there's the separation, at least to me, of Luthen wants Mon out and safe, and then Bail takes over when it's the meeting.
Yeah, getting her off of Coruscant. But like that, but the elements of like, oh, it's clouded in secrecy. I almost headcanon that as like Luthen and Bail compromising, where Bail is like, okay, you're gonna use my people, and Luthen being like, fine, but they're not saying shit, or I will kill them my fucking self.
And look
like
how well
in that element
last
of like,
time,
again, like we have two groups of rebels who aren't on the same page, who who have like a half a bag of the intel they're supposed to have, like that being such another carryover of this point in time for the rebellion.
Look at how well it went last time they used Bail's people. That almost like killed them, literally.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Mon boards the Ghost. Immediately, what I love, the first line she says, "Let us be of assistance, Captain." She's on the run. She's like literally the biggest pariah in the galaxy right now. And when she gets on that ship, the first thing that she decides to do is help. And that to me is the power of Mon Mothma.
She's not doing that VIP shit. She's not letting an honor guard huddle around her. She's like, no, I'm in the shit now.
Yeah, and that immediately endears the audience to her, even before all of her shit in Andor happened. Because at this time, I do still think Mon was a club shithead. I think it's Andor that really pushed her out of that status. But she is right now still like a character that you recognize a little bit from Return of the Jedi, maybe from some shots in TCW, Rogue One, but like her role there is pretty small too. I'm not going to use the C word because I don't think that's the C word from Mon. So I refuse to use that word. Cameo, by the way, just to clear everything up. The word was cameo. It's been so misused by everybody. But yeah, after all the intrigue in the Imperial Senate and the tense escape depicted in Welcome to the Rebellion, I am very glad that Mon gets a chance to relax with a giant purple alien, a cranky C1 droid, and a whiny Jedi Padawan. Like, she's been through enough drama. Now, I mean, not that things go easy for her this episode, but like comparatively, she's in good hands.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. We may have to blow up a nebula, but gets the job done.
I also really, really adore that Mon knows about Ezra, probably because of his speech. Like, I love the idea of Mon listening to that speech in her office. Like, I think that's like, I wish we got more connectivity between Rebels and Andor because those series are so interconnected. But like, yeah, truly.
No, I agree.
So Mon's on the ship. They're going to the meeting. She says, "No hiding. My presence at this meeting is not optional." And I love the way they just drop the meeting in.
Yeah.
It's just something that happens. It's something that everybody's aware of, except for the Ghost Crew. And it's something that is we are full speed towards the meeting. And then my next thing I have in my notes is Erskine. I trust them to get me there, which is like 10 times funnier after Andor because it's you just betrayed me like 15 minutes ago. Anyway, I trust these guys who I just met 15 minutes ago to get me to the meeting. But yeah,
rocking with it. But
we're going.
We can presume that their reputation within the rebellion kind of precedes them a little bit by this point. Now.
I'm sure.
Like that's a safe assumption.
I'm 100% sure. Upon like in the minds of anybody sane, listen, so they have a good reputation. We are in the process of building an alliance, uniting the various rebel cells across the galaxy. What I love about this is, for a very brief time, at the end of season 3 and the beginning of season 4, Star Wars Rebels has become Star Wars Rebellion. What we've been building up to since the beginning of this show, which is all these disparate rebel cells exist across the galaxy, and now they're united. This is the giant jump point that we've been heading towards. And a lot of this stuff, I mean, not Double Agent Droid we'll get into, but Secret Cargo and Twin Suns are about concluding various plot lines that we've been involved in Rebels for at least a season.
Yeah. These are 2 episodes that very much feel like sort of the passing of the torch or closing the pre-Alliance to Restore the Republic era of the rebellion and opening up that next chapter, obviously with Maul and everything. But in this episode specifically, we get the GR-75 transport, the Nebulon B, the Hammerhead, all at the same time. That's a moment that I know that's kind of at the end, but that's the moment that it kind of clocked for me, like, oh, this is intentionally telling us, like, hey, we're in a new era now. Like, Rebels is still going, but this is no longer the world of Rebels that we knew from season 1, 2, and even earlier this season.
And we'll get back to that world with the conclusion of season 4. But from now to like episode 2 of season 4, we are fully locked in with the rebellion as a concept. Yeah. Like there's this wider fight going on. Yeah, there's this wide, like we've known since season 2. There's this wider fight going on, but now it is organized and like a full-fledged effort to do it. There will always be the partisans over there doing their own things. There will always be whoever it is doing whatever they want to do. but we have a capital R, capital A Rebel Alliance that we are starting pretty soon after Mon tells them give the coordinates to Dantooine, which I'm sure made all diehards fans ears perk up a little bit because obviously we know it's been abandoned for some time as of A New Hope. So they're going to find this planet and then quickly abandon this planet in due time. And we think it because I believe it's what is it? It's I believe season 4 starts 6 months after the end of season 3. The only reason I'm mentioning that, even though technically the year changes, the reason I'm mentioning that is because by the time in season 4 we get to Yavin 4, although that makes me believe Dantooine's already been abandoned. But now I've been sort of like slowly warming up to the idea that there is no the Rebel base, even though it is positioned that way in A New Hope. Because up until pretty shortly before that, we also have Adelon. And we know, as of, I forget which arc in Andor we first see the Rebel base being like developed. I think it's this one, actually. I think it is this. I think it's the one right before this episode where we see Yavin fully being developed. So, like, I think Yavin was in place technically before Dantooine was. Right? Am I just completely making this up?
I don't think so. I'm looking at like the galactic map right now, and I kind of want to see if like how far away Yavin is from Dantooine, because
It's a good question.
I think there's also something to be said for the fact that they like what you're saying with like there's like basically like 2 prime maps and they're kind of like waypoints to be like, okay, like we're operating out of here, but also we can kind of hop around a little bit if we need to like fall back somewhere. And then by the time like shit gets live, they know we gotta get everybody to Yavin. You know, shit's going down. Like we just need to be in one place. This is the most centralized.
Yeah, because that's actually my
spot.
new. I think that's like one of my new headcanons is like, and it's not like a ton of conjecture to get there, but like the idea of Yavin at first is a rebel base, but by the time of A New Hope, it becomes the rebel base.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
which complicates some things a little bit, sure, but whatever. Yeah, anyway, whatever. Point being, Dantooine is in our sights. We're careening towards A New Hope faster than you can say the words Jedha, Kyber, Urso. And of course, where there's an important galaxy-changing event that also happens to involve the Ghost Crew, you can find Grand Admiral Thrawn lying in wait. I love that this fan favorite Legends character gets to be a part of this canon-defining episode. History-defining Star Wars episode. History-defining Star Wars event in this one episode of Rebels. Let's throw in a weird space phenomenon because fuck you. It's truly the energy I love about the show is that it just decides to do things because it can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything from the beginning of the episode before we go into this conversation between Mon and Hera, which I love.
Let's go there.
Hell yeah.
Mon says, sometimes I envy pilots like you, traveling through the stars. You can always leave your problems far behind you. And then she says, and Hera responds, can't imagine you running from your problems. Which, now getting Andor in hindsight is insanely hilarious. Because now we know about the husband and the kid. Sorry, the trad daughter. It's crazy. Yeah, and Jacob, I actually have your quote, the quote you mentioned earlier here. I've begun to see that the fight cannot be won in the Senate. And that is, to me, the fulfillment of George's arc, and then that was later adapted by Gilroy in Andor. Like, that Mon is at the end of that arc. She has finally gotten to the point where it's on. We can't do this through politics anymore. We have to take the Empire down.
Yeah.
As a friend of the show, Alden Diaz once said, we wish it could be Star Peace, but that's no longer an option anymore.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. And they emerge into the nebula, or by the nebula at least. And Thrawn chooses this moment to triumphantly debut the TIE Defender, piloted by Volt Scaris of all people, one of my favorite bit characters in this show.
Yeah, I have an attachment to.
Where do we meet him
This
at?
guy.
The Sky Strike Academy earlier
That is
this
correct.
season?
Skystrike Academy. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
He's a flight instructor at Skystrike. And yeah, it's crazy that one ship can do that much damage. Again, props to Morgan Elspeth for that design, which I love to bring up because everybody kind of forgets that. And it's crazy to think about that Morgan Elspeth is behind the TIE Defender design. Yeah. I shudder to think of what the galaxy would be like if the Emperor actually sided with Thrawn over Krennic and fully funded a TIE Defender program.
Yeesh.
Like, the Rebels would be so fucked. It's not even funny. Like, of course, Palpatine in his hubris had to go with the one large, crazily vulnerable giant space station. But just imagine if he
Yeah.
decided, like, deck out TIE fighters instead.
Yeah. It's just not. That's not outlandishly evil enough. That's not over the
It
top
isn't.
enough.
No, but again, in the defense of like, not a defense of the Death Star as a military idea, but like in the defense of like the Death Star as like a strategic choice, like you gotta consider though, like it's only remarkably vulnerable because they had a guy on the inside.
Like it was it was an incredibly improbable turn of events.
And like, was Palpatine gambling at Endor a lot with an uncompleted Death Star?
Yeah, but that was also his hubris.
Precisely.
Yeah, yeah.
Pardon me.
Which you think he'd know a thing or two about, considering that he spent decades manipulating Jedi's version of it. But whatever. Yeah, Mon then tries to use her diplomatic skills to aggressively stall for Hera, which is such a Mon move. I love it for her. It makes me smile. Yeah. We get some good stuff with Dutch Vander this episode, which makes me happy because he's like an essential Glup Shadow from A New Hope. But like, we don't get a lot with him here, but we get some things.
Yeah.
Which I find nice. Yeah.
The Nebula battle is great. Visually it's very, very memorable, but
yeah, I also noticed
not really the focal point of this episode as we've conceived it, I would say.
Yeah, no, I also noticed that as well. It's just a beautiful, like the nebula just looks beautiful, and the way they animate the ships flying through it, I think is also just fantastic.
That's true. Yeah, I really do love the shot of the Star Destroyers just outside of it. Like, yeah, I like, again, like I have not rewatched all of Rebels in a minute. Like I have like rewatched episodes of Rebels at a time for like research purposes for my own stuff periodically, but like I have not watched this whole show top to bottom, and there are moments where I'm like, wow, I forget how beautiful this show looks.
Yeah, I think that's something that I really love about Rebels is they do not at all try to go like, oh, we got to make this like visually dark or gritty or have some measure of realism. They're just like, no, let's make everything fucking beautiful. Beautiful sunsets, as much orange, gold, and purple as you can handle. Colors off the wall, the amazing drawing, painting backgrounds that the animation uses. I can't get enough of it.
No,
I never can.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
It's great, and especially we recently learned this, I believe, from a Pod of Rebellion episode. Rebels had half the budget of TCW. I did not know this beforehand, but Rebels had half the budget of TCW, and which explains a lot of things for me, like the number of episodes that they have in planets' atmospheres. Like I speculated in previous seasons that was a budget saving thing, and that makes a lot more sense now. As not a budget saving thing, as they probably just did not have the budget. But no, regardless, all three of these episodes I think look great. But yeah, they get to Dantooine. Again, we don't get to see the surface of the planet, which again, think budgetary, but whatever. Let's just hope someone's listening. I forget who says that. I think it's Mon maybe who says that. But either way, great parallel both with Rebels Season 1 and Last Jedi, which had come out at this point, and pre-parallel with Rise and Andor Season 1, which hadn't come out yet. This is Senator Mon Mothma. I've been called a traitor for speaking out against a corrupt galactic senate. a Senate manipulated by the sinister tactics of the Emperor. For too long, I've watched the heavy hand of the Empire strangle our liberties, stifling our freedoms in the name of ensuring our safety. No longer, despite imperial threats, despite the Emperor himself, I have no fear as I take new action, for I am not alone. Beginning today, we stand together as allies. I hereby resign from the Senate to fight for you, not from the distant halls of politics, but from the front lines. We will not rest until we bring an end to the Empire, until we restore our republic. Are you with me? Which I think is just an incredible speech. To mostly troll Jacob, I wrote it was better than her Welcome to Rebellion speech, which I'm not sure I believe, but it's still really good. As you talked about before, Jared, with the Welcome to Rebellion speech, she's speaking to a hostile crowd. Here, she's speaking to an allied crowd and galvanizing them to fight the same monster that she was crucifying the Welcome to the Rebellion people in that speech for siding with. It crystallizes her arc from Andor. Enough with the talking, enough with the backroom deals and shady funnels of funds from here to there. Enough with the wishing she could do better. She can do better. And starting now, she will.
Good
it's
shit.
also great. Yeah. I also love the shots of Vale and the Masasi group and Rex and Sato on Adelon and on the Lothal citizens listening in at Old Joe's. I can only imagine somewhere in an antique shop on Coruscant, an old man with gray hair or maybe a gray wig is watching in and smiling, maybe putting his hands back. Who knows?
Or being full of fucking rage that we're going this mask off. But that's a funny double-edged sword of Luthen Rail is that like he at once wants to fight the Empire head on and like with malice, but he also like relies so much on the cloak and dagger
on the
of
secrecy.
Yeah. So, but
yeah. Then we get as we were talking about like I call it like a pre-rise. There are more of us moment. But the ending of the episode with this, my friends, this is our rebellion. Perfect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it any other way. In terms of an episode to really show how the Rebel Alliance is created, I don't think you could have done much better than this. We end with a Star Wars theme flourish. I'm going to hand it off to both of you to discuss final thoughts on the episode and just your opinions on Secret Cargo.
I mean, I think I got a lot out of what I had to say. I mean, I think the episode's remarkable. I think that Mothma is on the list of characters who the current canon has done a lot of favors. And she is such a rich character. And I think Secret Cargo is one of those Star Wars stories that is just constantly being enhanced by other ancillary material.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was a brilliant episode when it came out. And now that we've got Andor in a canon, she's got so much more depth and complexity to her, what she's going through, what she's fighting for, why, how, all that. It just makes this episode all the more riveting that we get to see the Ghost crew take part in that. And we get Hera and Ezra, especially their moments with her where they see a side of her. I will also note one more thing. If you are a freak like I am, you will have noticed that at the very beginning, they are hiding in the wreckage of a munificent class CIS cruiser, I believe, from the Clone Wars.
I gotta write that down for your co-host's sick little game of fucking Saw that I compete in regularly.
Yeah,
but...
put that one on the killing floor, bro.
Okay, I will say something right now.
I just think it's beautiful. I just think
this is not as big of a defense as I think it is, probably. In the new Star Wars Explained Glub Shitos video that was posted today, Alex Damon named all fucking 6 of those goddamn attendants from that 5-pointer I just wrote. It can be done. It can be done. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I just think it was a fun and unexpected. I interpreted it as a moment of symbolism that once upon a time, Mon Mothma, she was in the Republic Senate while the Clone War was happening, and now she's being forced to take refuge in the remains of the very the very organization, the very movement, the first rebellion, that sort of
Right.
she was for peace. She wasn't for the war, but I don't think she would have ever imagined that it would turn out that the separatist movement was entirely, from the very top at least, it was entirely a front in Palpatine's game to overthrow the Republic.
Right.
And I liked being reminded of that in a very unexpected and strange way.
100%. Like what you're saying with like it's in the wreckage of like there were individuals within the separatist movement that did believe in like we need to demand better of the Republic.
Absolutely.
And what you're
Including the
saying of
guy,
like
Commissioner Hellgate.
yeah, I mean like it's almost like you said, it's watching a real rebellion emerge from the lifeless husk of like this like pantomime, like wagging the dog style faux rebellion. Like this is not, we have the entire corporate sector on our side and every single weapons manufacturer in the galaxy salivating over how fun it will be to sell unregulated weapons to these corporate magnates and what have you.
Yeah.
Like it's watching this group of, again, ragtag misfits be reborn from the corpse of like what could have been a legitimate movement. I love that you brought that up, Jacob.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think this episode, I believe this episode is one of the most underrated episodes of Star Wars Rebels. To me, this episode belongs to Matt Miknovitz, who wrote it, who wrote just great dialogue for mostly Mon, but also, of course, Ezra and Hera and Gold Leader. Genevieve O'Reilly proved, I think this was her first like really big outing in Star Wars. I mean, she was there for a little bit in Rogue One, and with those scenes in Revenge of the Sith that were not widely shown. But this was her like big chance to like make a statement as Mon before Andor happened, and I think she really made the most of it. And I think it's really well done. I think she does a really great job. And yeah, I think this episode. I think this episode obviously history making in the galaxy far, far away, and I think it's just underrated because I don't hear enough people talk about this as one of the greats of Rebels.
100%
But I think it is.
agreed.
All right, are y'all ready to get goofy?
Yeah, I'm gonna be so for real. I have not a lot to say about this one because, like,
I mean, it's
alright.
It's funny, right? You have these two sort of amazing juggernaut turning point episodes. You've got the formation of the rebellion and the Ghost Crew coalescing and getting to be part of this historic, amazing moment. And it's like the changing of the guard from all the rebel cells, and all of a sudden you have the Rebel Alliance. And then on the other end, you have this 20, 30, however many decades story of Maul and Kenobi having its conclusion, and Ezra, and it's so beautiful and poignant. And then in the middle, you've just got 22 straight minutes of AP5 and Chopper just fucking boning around, doing whatever.
Boning around,
doing whatever. Yeah.
Chicanery.
That's the first time I've ever said that, but it popped in my mind, and it seemed to be the best way to describe this fucking episode.
So
just boning around, bro.
So I want to talk about one of the first things that happened in this episode. So they put AP5, Chopper, and Wedge on this mission. Great decision, everybody. So the first thing that is argued is whose mission this is, AP5 or Chopper. No, it is not your mission, it is mine. Jacob, can you tell me the second thing that is argued in this episode?
Who has superior programming, I believe?
Sort of.
No.
Do you remember the exact words of it?
I don't remember the exact words of it.
It's a song Alden and I have sung
because I'm not sick like you.
It is indeed. The last time I watched this episode, I could not believe this reference was in there. This episode, as I was saying to Jacob earlier, has 3 musical references. This one is the most batshit crazy of all of them.
Distant spitting. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Jacob, that is the conversation that Chopper and AP5 have in this episode verbatim.
Yes.
They literally just do Annie get your gun at the beginning of the episode for no reason. And it is like my favorite thing of this part of this episode. It is so random that it's just like, if I had to ask Brent Friedman one question, I would say, the hell did you get your gun to this episode for? What the hell was that? Like, it's so like ridiculous, and it works. The thing about this episode that I think is so interesting is, and I'm not gonna argue this episode is like the greatest episode of Rebels to ever exist. This episode, yeah, is my least favorite of these three, absolutely. But I think the things in this episode that work are due to it deciding, let's go complete in sincerity, and never for a moment wavering with that. Let's do something completely silly and completely goofy, and let's lean all the way in. Yeah, so they get anything you can do, I can do better. It's such a weird. I put in my notes. It's such a weird little Easter egg put in there to appease the Venn diagram, of which I won't dare to guess the size, of Star Wars fans and old-fashioned Broadway musical fans. It's just so, like, and they do the no, it's not, yes, it is, back and forth again. Then we cut to title. We get to Killin' 71. I found behind the scenes likely name for Rebels art director Killian Plunkett, born in 1971.
That's fun.
Apparently, it was also a scrap planet from the Clone Wars, and it looks great.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah, this mission, even despite the goofy undertone, is being treated as very serious because it is. And then they get intercepted, or specifically, Chopper gets intercepted by this guy LT319. Now, first of all, there's two levels to this guy. First of all, it's our second musical reference.
Really?
Yeah. You probably were not able to tell the voice actor of LT319. Jacob?
LT319, the main guy? Because I do have a voice actor question.
Yeah, no, the main guy. Do you know who the main LT? Don't say it, Jared.
I've got no idea.
Well, perhaps you would have a better idea in summer.
What?
That was Gad?
LT319 is Josh Gad.
Get the fuck out of here. What?
Yeah.
Okay, I love that he's in Rebels. That like enriches my world somehow that I know that. That also feels like a little bit of an underutilization to have him be this like computer like monotone like Steve Jobs IT looking Lobot clone, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the other thing.
Lobot GPT over here.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
well,
this whole episode.
That's the other thing about LT319 is his resemblance, is his physical face.
Yeah, this I knew. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Don't say it, Jared. But does this guy look familiar to you, Jacob? I'll say within the Star Wars family.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're going for, but like, honestly, yes. I would say yes.
It's Pablo Hidalgo.
Oh, oh my gosh.
He's based off Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo even did the temp track for this guy. Which, imagine the mindfuck of that. You're voicing a character that looks exactly like you before being replaced by, of all people, Josh Gad.
Bro, why would you give yourself he gave himself kind of a shitty character.
I don't.
He's got a good sense. You got a good sense of humor. He's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's
no
the
hate.
weirdest part of this episode is evil Pablo Hidalgo voiced by Josh Gad.
Yeah.
Just
I will also ask, one of the subordinates on that ship, is Vanessa Marshall doubling up in this episode?
That also makes sense. We usually do Filoni watch on this show. I've been doing a thing where I try to catch Dave voicing random stormtroopers and stuff like that. I actually put that in my notes. I was like, this is not Filoni watch, but that other person on that ship is absolutely Vanessa Marshall. She's not even trying.
Have you confirmed it?
I haven't confirmed it, but like, also come on.
It has to be. There's no way.
Yeah, that is absolutely Vanessa Marshall. Yeah, but yeah, Josh Gad, musical veteran, of course, most known as Olaf in the Frozen franchise, but also being in various productions of musicals, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, the Book of Mormon, and Gutenberg, the musical. Yeah, as you were saying, Jacob, earlier, it's kind of ridiculous to me that they got this guy to do a random villain role who blows up at the end of the episode. But that's Star Wars for you.
With extreme prejudice.
with extreme prejudice.
Yes.
With Hera almost going full, what's his name? God dang it. James Marshall. There we go. With Hera almost going full James Marshall. If she like booted LT319 out at the end of the episode and immediately just doubled back as another thing, get off my plane. Like, yeah, I would have expected that. Yeah. Look, am I going to argue that this episode is as thematically or politically relevant as the two it's surrounding? Absolutely not. But I do think it does have something to say as a sort of spiritual successor to the Forgotten Droid episode in season 2 where we meet AP5, which is the Empire's continued devaluation of droids. Where AP5 says this early, the Empire never did take droids seriously. That alone explains all of Chopper's success. Like, the rebels, mostly, again, I'm casting a wide net here, but mostly treat droids with dignity, with respect.
Yeah.
I would argue that part of the reason this whole episode happens, though, is because Wedge kind of isn't paying them enough attention.
Yes,
When
but I
AP
would also
thought,
argue...
No, AP. Not now, Chopper.
Yeah, but that's, I think, less because Wedge is a rebel and more because he's a rookie.
Oh
Because
yeah,
he's still
sure.
learning the
Yeah,
ropes
no,
of
I'm
this.
not saying. Yeah, obviously
Yeah.
the rebellion
Yeah.
has a far
I just
different.
came up with
attitude,
this
droid consciousness.
explanation of this, and I'm stunned that it took me this long to come up with this. Honestly, the rebels treats its droids like people. The Empire treats its people like droids.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Bingo.
bar.
And of course that
Moving dirty
means
white
they
like
treat.
mosh pits.
Yeah, and then of course that means that they still treat their droids like shit. With
Yeah.
many Imperials, I think, often treating their droids even worse because it's somebody they can exert whatever small fraction of power they have left on.
Right.
Like, droids are used specifically, I wrote in my notes, like, as a tool for the Empire. It's like they're no different than like a computer, like a physical computer, or like a calculator, or a one of those, god dang it, well, like the base control launch things, like that like one of the levers they use to pull to ready the Death Star super laser or something like that. Like, they're no different than that. And the Empire believes that the rebels think the same, which is how they could which is why they're so cocky that they're going to win this.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
of course, they realize way too late the rebels don't think that way. Yeah. Anything about the beginning of the episode with the takeover before I throw an incredibly niche in reference, not very niche, but niche-ish in reference at Jarod?
No. I'm mostly lukewarm on this one. It's funny, it's fun, whatever.
I noticed this moment specifically because I wanted to talk to Jarod about this in this episode. I think LT319 says, I calculated 31% risk of the rebels successfully using their codes, but we have an 82% chance of learning the location of their base, and if we let them escape and track them. So you see, Samoa Joe, you take my 82% chance. You take away the 31%
chance of winning.
chance. I got a 51% chance of finding the rebels at sacrifice. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. Samoa Joe. So if you put
Spells
Grand Admiral
disaster
Thrawn
for
in
you at sacrifice.
at sacrifice. Jacob is so confused right now. I need to show
Pretty,
you. This is one of the greatest
Oh,
promos
just so
in all of wrestling.
Yeah,
This is
I feel
this
like
is
I've
when
seen this before. I
You've
feel
definitely seen Steiner Math
I
before.
feel like I've seen it. I feel like I have. I'm not big into wrestling, but
I'm not either. But I
got a
the
little bit
minute
of ball knowledge. I've definitely
that
seen
Jarod and
this
some of
one.
our other friends showed me Steiner Math, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. So
Well,
anytime,
especially
like,
because Steiner Math got referenced in the Schmodown several fucking times.
I forgot about
Because
that. That's great.
nobody fully ever wanted to do it. Because everybody, like, no disrespect to any Schmodown competitors, but I think a lot of them went. Even for us, it would be a little old hat if we went full Steiner Math.
Steiner
but
Math.
we
Oh, yeah,
will-
absolutely.
But we will do a like 33 and 1/3 chance of winning periodically.
It's great. It's truly like anytime, like I already knew we were gonna have Jarod on this episode, and I saw the percentages. I'm like, and my mind instantly flashed, Samoa Joe.
If I'm correct, just became one of the big champs in AEW, so it's timely.
That's crazy. That's great. Yeah, but instantly Chopper gets back on the ship. and and he says something, and Wedge goes, "Did he just apologize?" It could quickly turn into a joke, but the fact that the rebels can pretty easily tell that Chopper is being compromised by the fact that he's suddenly being nice to them still ties in well to the themes of this episode. Under the rebels, droids are mostly allowed to have personalities. They're treated as people to some extent. The Empire, as I was saying, droids are tools, so when the Empire operates a droid, they operate under their protocols. LT-319 will never understand the dynamics the rebels have with each other through numbers and datas. He wouldn't ever even think of it that way, and that's why the rebels pull ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, and then right after, you said you were code 16. That's an Imperial term. And yeah, AP5 spends quite a bit of the middle of the episode being Jarod at any point in seasons 1 or 2 of Ionized Bastards.
Being too right too early and only being off of like vibes and gut instinct.
Yeah, pretty much.
And sounding crazy because of it.
Yes. Jacob,
Yes.
I know that you've been waiting to talk about this in this episode, but then we got a very important first in Star Wars, on screen wise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the refresher is canon on screen, on TV.
We
This
see
is
Wedge
canon.
Antilles
We
zip
hear
up his
Wedge.
fly.
We hear him zip it up and down. It's all canon now. Let's. The missing piece of a puzzle is here.
Go piss, girl.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things, man. It's just one of those little moments that really make you go, wow. They've thought of everything in this.
They really did.
Oh, it's so immersive. It's just so, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Adjacent to that, one of the things I think is really funny about Star Wars in the way that like everything has to like fit into this very silly aesthetic, and in Legends there were instances where it didn't, and then like it's really funny to look at it, and then in other instances in the new canon it's almost silly how hard they try to make sure everything fits in a certain way. One of my favorite things similar to that is at Galaxy's Edge, all of the trash cans look like the crates from Fallen Order.
That's very funny.
I think about that all the time. But anyway, toilets are canon.
Yeah. Toilets are canon. We did it. And proceeding on, after they figure out Chopper is a double agent and has been hijacked, LT-319, one of the other things he tells Chopper to do when he's trying to get rid of the rebels is to open the cargo bay doors, which I almost expected Chopper to stop for a second and go, wop, 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 wop. Probably making the reference to Obscure. That is, of course, a almost verbatim paraphrase of "Open the pod bay doors, Hal."
Oh,
It
yeah.
involves a compromised evil robot.
I'm afraid
Dude, I knew that
yeah.
shot of Chopper's point of view. I knew that was familiar.
Well, that's the other thing, is that a lot of the
felt referencey.
Yeah, 2001 was a, I believe it, not, I don't know this, but like, I wouldn't surprise me if 2001 was an inspiration on this episode. But also, I think I read somewhere, and I couldn't find it while researching for this episode, that THX 1138 was as well, with a lot of the ways the controllers talk to each other, and a lot of like that sterile, neutral, like futuristic talk. Like that reminded me a lot of what I've heard of THX 1138. So yeah. And so AP5 has to get outside the hold in the vacuum of space to free the rebels trapped inside. He fights Chopper. Chopper does a little Leroy Jenkins, which I was gonna pull up the clip again this episode, but then I decided we did that last episode, so I'm not gonna go through the goddamn it Leroy clip again. Yeah, and Hera says remind me a lot of James Marshall, Air Force One. They want to mess with my droid, they're gonna pay for it.
I will say I do really love Chopper Akimbo. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. I will say, I'd hate, like, the only reason I want to see a story where Chopper is like heavily damaged in a battle is because I want to see Hera go John Wick on the galaxy. Because that's the end game of this. You see, like, just her droid being compromised she like blows up a fucking cruiser. Imagine if Chopper comes back from a mission like battered and damaged, and she just goes full John Wick on it.
I mean, for Chopper to be that fucked up, there's already going to be like a body count in the thousands from him alone.
That's a good point.
So anyone who got a lick in probably went out with him.
Yeah. And then I usually would talk about the last moment of this episode, but honestly, I think it'd be best if we just watched it. Because there's no better way to talk about this episode, about this moment, than I think by just watching it.
I should be frightened, but I'm strangely calm. Silence, solitude. Ah, this is beautiful. I'm in a world all my own. I do not feel alone. It's easy to see I fit perfectly in this wonderful, beautiful city. No, 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 go away. I was so happy.
This episode's
What a
so
moment.
goddamn dumb. This episode's so
What a
goddamn
moment.
stupid.
It's incredibly dumb, and yet I'm so endeared by it. AP5 is singing in the vacuum of space, surrounded by baby knee braids that came seemingly out of nowhere, and can somehow also survive in the vacuum of space. The next thing I wrote in my notes is, I mean, what even is this episode? Again, one of the main takeaways as like on a meta angle from this episode is that I love the variety that Star Wars can offer, and specifically the show can offer. These 3 episodes are so radically different, but they all make sense existing in the same show.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It's again, it's deeply silly. It's we have this like very political lore heavy episode, and then we have this farce, which is just it's a lot of fun. It's goofy. It's like one of those like I know I've made a little bit of a stink a lot lately as being the guy who's like kind of over the like collective group think of like this is the thing we're all obsessed about now. Like everybody talking about how goddamn like Ponda Baba is the moment type shit. Just being on my last fucking nerve. It's the bestie shit. And like and it's moments like this where like I go, yeah, but sometimes it's for a reason. Like, yeah, like a lot of people like overly just won't shut up about the AP5 like singing in the vacuum of space as like the funniest thing in all of Star Wars. And I get annoyed by it. I'm like, yes, I get it. You're a zillennial, and it's funny that you want to walk into traffic. I know your whole personality is being annoyed with everything all the time. You're so earnest and not like other girls. And then I watch it and I'm like, yeah, that shit's really funny.
It's just
that shit's really funny.
It comes out of absolutely nowhere. Nobody talks about it ever again, and it just kind of exists. And I think that it's like, and I think honestly, like that's this episode to a T. Honestly, comes out of nowhere. Almost nobody ever talks about it again in universe, but you'll never forget it was there. You will never forget that one time Chopper was controlled by Pablo Hidalgo, voiced by Josh Gad, that forced AP5 to sing in the vacuum of space.
Yeah. And I will say, man, like, again, I was shitting on people who like hyper fixate on like the AP5 singing scene and then like just glaze it in like to a weird capacity.
Yeah.
I will say, as somebody who has spent most of their life working in either retail or the service industry, I've had this moment in walk-in coolers before. There have been days where it's like slow enough that like we can do like busy work, deep cleaning bullshit. Or it's not busy enough that we could do that, but it's busy enough that like I don't want to look at people. Where I will like volunteer to just like deep clean a walk-in cooler, and I'm in there with my AirPods in, and I'm just like silence. I'm like being like swept up into the air with like a 30-pack of Michelob Ultra, but like I feel like I'm at peace because of it.
Great.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I like many a lunch break in many shopping mall retail location break room have I sat at a table eating an overly expensive chicken sandwich, having this moment with an AirPod in. So on some level, I think I may have judged some of the besties too harshly because this shit does
absolutely slap. Yeah. Closing thoughts on this episode as we go into Twin Sons. Jacob, I'll throw it to you.
I'm kind of it has its moments. This episode certainly has its moments. It's funny here and there, but ultimately, yeah, it kind of not very memorable. Feels like the most like a filler episode out of any of this season. I feel like, how does it move things forward for the plot or any individual at all? At the very least, I guess it does fit into the overarching kind of cat and mouse game of throughout in the Empire, slowly but surely closing in on the location of Chopper Base, and the rebels are going to ever increasing extraordinary lengths, and just having to absolutely pull it out when all hope looks lost to save their asses. But it's just not enough to make this episode stand out amid such a great season. It feels like an off night for this show in this season.
I'm inclined to agree with that on a lot
of
fronts. I don't hate it. I think a lot of like, I think what this episode lacks in like a material like plot momentum, it makes up for like honing in on like character and theme elements, like a lot of like nods to just the very idea of like how the rebels, both like capital R rebels, like Phoenix Squadron, and just like as a collective idea, now that like an alliance is beginning to form, how like true companionship is the X factor. Like again, like we can be as dark and gritty and sad as we want in Andor. At the end of the day, it's the power of friendship that is going to kill a fascist twice. And like, and this is one of those instances where it's like, oh, like we got to go back and we got to save AP5, and Hera's gonna just crash the fuck out over Chopper getting tampered with. It's very sweet, and it's very wholesome in that way. And it's that core of Star Wars of like the companionship, the community being what pulls us through. But outside of that, it's one of the silly ones, and it exists. I think it's on the Mount Rushmore of like goofy ass episodes of Star Wars animation that like when you get to it in a rewatch, you're like, yeah, nothing important is happening, but it's fun and it's charming.
Yeah, I think I'm a little higher on this episode than both of you, but I don't think it's like the greatest anything. I said strange, yes. Goofy, 100%. Over the top at times, sure. But this episode still works really well for me because A, the theme of the contrast between how the Empire handles its lessers and how the rebels do the same, and because B, it leans all the way into its silliness, as I already talked about. I think Steven Stanton did a lot of great stuff in this episode. I think Josh Gad, even though he wasn't given a lot to do, did very good with like, I didn't realize Josh Gad could be that menacing, but I think he does good. Yeah, I think this is a fun episode. Obviously, I think my least favorite episode of this episode, but it's surrounded by giants, so who can blame it?
Yeah.
We pan down onto the twin sons of Tatooine. Lost. I am lost. And yet I can feel his presence. So close, so close. Sorry, I'm not good at saying this. Sam, do me a favor.
I can see him in my mind's eye. Kenobi.
He said the line, Jared. He said the line.
Yay.
Sometimes it's a little too easy to make Star Wars fans happy. I will freely admit that. I will freely admit that I've been there, bro. I will freely admit that I've like been there. I've been that guy cheering for him screaming Kenobi.
I'm ribbing
Eli, for someone who hates Maul as much as you do, you sure do a not half bad impression.
I thank you. And first, and B, and second of all, that is my own clip from Dragon Con, because anytime you have Sam Witwer on a stage, like I didn't know the next time I was going to see Sam Witwer on a stage doing his Maul impression, and so I need to do that. I'm mostly ripping Jared because I know how much he hates say the line stuff, but also I was not going to ruin my already bad throat with by doing. Look, I actually do want to talk about this line sincerely because it has been memed to death, and I understand that.
Yes.
But like, if we look at what's actually happening, this is some crazy ass shit that's happening right now.
This episode is wonderful because it truly is this demonstration about how Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi are just perfect inversions of each other. And how these are two men who just exist in like complete opposites of one another, like down to their upbringing. These are two individuals, one who kind of lived a life of mediocrity. He was just another fucking Padawan who Jin went, yeah, I'll work with the runt of the litter. And again, like Obi-Wan is not profoundly powerful. He's not Windu, he's not Yoda, he's not a Skywalker, but through like an openness to the Force and with an openness to like the Jedi philosophy and praxis, he is able to become like one of the quintessential Jedi Knights to ever do it. And in stark opposition to that, we have Maul, who is plucked and is trained with the concept of exceptionalism in his mind. And that exceptionalism that is like driven into him is part of what drives him mad, because he thinks that he has this manifest destiny that like is built on the bone and built with the bones and painted with the blood of the Jedi Order, that it is his birthright to bring the order to its knees. Obi-Wan has no such special ambitions or thoughts of himself, whereas Maul considers himself to be kind of the main character of Star Wars. And then we look at how they comport themselves. Obi-Wan Kenobi never sought glory, and yet even before the Clone Wars, he becomes, within the Order, one of the quintessential Jedi leading into the war, where Darth Maul spends that time presumed dead in garbage. So one is foisted into glory, one has it wrenched away from them, and they develop this deeply horrifically toxic relationship between each other, where Obi-Wan, of course, the wound that is Qui-Gon's murder in front of him is a wound that runs deep, but it's a wound that's mostly healed over time. Whereas Maul being felled for it is something he can never get over. It manifests in the physical scar that is him being half a man after he has everything taken away from him, quite literally. Star Wars, a metaphor, never subtle. But where Obi-Wan mostly moves on from this and it's a distant memory, with Maul, it happened yesterday. It's 10 years later, it's 11 years later, it's 20 years later. It's yesterday. We're approaching this with the same level of animus that we had decades ago, like it happened the other day. And they just move further and further and further and further and further away from each other. When we get to the point where, while they're both doing their own thing during the dark times, Obi-Wan Kenobi takes up the most important sentry position in the galaxy. And Darth Maul has tried numerous times now to build his own empire and keeps fucking failing, because he is convinced that he is supposed to be the head of some type of great grand organization that will exalt him above all else, because he was told to think that way, where Obi-Wan leads with a humility and a kindness and a tenderness that allows him to just kind of take a position and stay there.
And y'all were wondering why we brought Jarod on for this episode.
No, we haven't even gotten into the lightsaber shit yet, kids.
Oh,
and I agree with so much what you're saying. I wrote 5 pages of notes for this episode, which is far more than I usually do for any episode, because of how much I dearly adore this episode. Yeah, no, I was talking about a lot of the same things that you were in my notes. I was looking at, for me, I was thinking about the fact. I was looking at, I was interested to see, how big is Tatooine? Tatooine, very roughly, is about 80% of the size of Earth. Imagine endeavoring to search 80 planet that is 80% the size of Earth for one person who might not even be there. Can you imagine the ridiculous delusion and like sense of like will that is needed to do something like that? That is what Maul is doing this episode, and it is something that will go back. I think we'll come back to a lot this episode. Is everything that Maul is doing, to surprise nobody, is driven by this like tunnel vision, lust for revenge.
Yeah,
that will get him nowhere. That will get him literally nowhere. It's gotten him nowhere every single point of his life, and he's not getting anywhere now.
And another really crucial part of that, the thing that drives Maul to this madness, beyond like what he perceives as this great injustice being done to him by Obi-Wan Kenobi, a big part of that is that Obi-Wan doesn't entertain this shit.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan doesn't pull up monologuing. There is no great desire to avenge Qui-Gon Jinn or Adi Gallia or any other or Satine. There is no like profound need to put him down in the name of these people. You're a threat, and if I gotta kill you, I'll fucking kill you. But I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't show up like excited to put you down. That's Anakin Skywalker's gig, big dog. That's not me. And I think for Maul, what drives him insane, like again, like those early confrontations between Obi-Wan and Maul in the Clone Wars, they say so much about this specific dynamic. Like Obi-Wan goes in and he's like, "Surely you're not him," and then Maul starts doing the thing. Obi-Wan, there's no like, "I'll bring you to justice." It's, "I defeated you before. I will do it again."
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And it's Maul who has to constantly be like, "Oh, how did it make you feel when I killed your master and you could do nothing about it? And I'm going to kill Satine and I'm going to kill Adi Gallia." Like, and it's like, and he's just ratcheting up the theatrics and like this emotional, and like Obi-Wan no-sells him every time. Or Obi-Wan just straight calls him a bitch to his face. Like Obi-Wan just straight checks Maul's gangster. And it's like, shit, like, "I like your new legs. They make you look taller. You're not supposed to be insulting me. You're supposed to be trying to kill me because I killed Qui-Gon. And I'm making you think about Qui-Gon."
Oh, how the mighty Sith have fallen.
Yeah. And again, it's just straight no-selling. It's just, it's no-selling. It's checking his gangster. It's humiliating him. Again, like Obi-Wan, like whenever he cuts Savage's arm off on Florum, like, there's no moment where Obi-Wan gloats or does a victory lap or has anything witty to say, because he doesn't care. This is a one-sided rivalry.
Yeah, he does not want to do this. And I want to come back to a lot of that once we get to the end of this episode. I just want to say, if not for Lars Mikkelsen, I do believe that I would, in terms of voice acting, mark Whitwer as the MVP of this season. What he does for this character, specifically in this episode, is truly remarkable. Oh, yeah. And this episode does so much to me because, as many know, I was never, and I still am not a fan of the decision to bring Maul back in season 4 of TCW. This episode is the capstone that makes that decision almost worth it for me. Like, I will still never agree with it, but I'm willing to forgive and forget all of it, basically because of this episode. And that is the power of what Dave and Henry Gilroy did for this episode, to me. Yeah. What a cut to title. Maul decides to lure Ezra to Tatooine to draw Obi-Wan into the crossfire. Obviously, the mechanism to get there is the holocron malfunctioning, which it took me only till this episode to realize somehow, to this viewing, I mean, that was a direct manipulation of Maul's holocron fragment, and that they spell that out very clearly. And somehow my brain just never got I thought it was a real malfunction in the past. When clearly they lay out, the fragments are being strewn, all that kind of stuff. Like, this like, I didn't think that Maul had no part in manipulating Ezra to come there. I just thought that this part was smaller. No, it was all of it. Yeah, the Ghost Crew obviously disapproves, but this is a lesson that Ezra has to learn for himself. And of course, look, this episode is about these two guys duking it out for the last time. But it's a Rebels episode. Ezra has to be there. And I think what he learns is really important for him, which is purpose.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan has such a clear sense of purpose. He is on Tatooine for one thing, to watch over this kid until the time is right, yada, yada, yada. Maul does not have a purpose. A purpose usually extends beyond oneself. And to the extent that that Maul's purpose extends beyond himself, it's this other guy has to die. That's the beginning and end of his purpose. If I get
rid of him, I fix what's wrong with me. If I can get rid of him, I fix what's wrong with me, because, and I'm sorry, like because like these are one of the reasons why I like fundamentally so like disagree with you on the Darth Maul thing, is that like this is a cool character who, in Legends, in the stories we get about him before being killed on Naboo, is defined by a fanatical loyalty. And when you drop it there, he is another drop in the bucket of dark side fanaticism. Here, what I love so much is that he is defined by this sense of inadequacy. And that, like, I don't even think Darth Maul knows it's a matter of inadequacy. I don't think he knows that he's experiencing some amount of, like, little dick syndrome.
I don't think so.
But that's what it is. And, like,
Yeah.
he has lost everything so many times, has been abandoned, has been cast aside so many times. Like, this is a guy who so badly is burned by being rendered disposable that he wants to be undeniable. And every single attempt has failed up to this point. So now it's like, well, maybe if I just kill this fucking guy, it'll fix me. And maybe, like, on some, like, maybe if I can report back to the Emperor I killed Kenobi, he'll take me back.
Yeah, absolutely. Maul's position going into this episode is incredibly clear. We know what he's doing. As Jared said, if I can kill this guy, it will fix me magically.
Yeah.
We cut back to the rebels, what they're up to. Everybody's denying it. Ezra, no one would like to believe General Kenobi is alive more than I would. Which I just want to say, an Obi-Wan and Rex reunion post TCW would melt me. It would just melt me. I don't think I'm ready for that, and I'm honestly kind of glad they decided not to do that this episode, because I don't think I could handle that.
That'd be something else.
And then he quickly follows it up with, but Senator Organa confirmed his death. To quote another of Kenobi's most famous adversaries, I lied.
Next year, Star Wars in a Galaxy.
Yeah. And then, of course, Hera asks, if he was alive, do you think he would be hiding on some backwater world instead of helping us? Which I think is just some of the most beautiful, dramatically ironic foreshadowing for not just the plot of this episode, but its theme. We'll see how he's doing his part later in this episode. But yeah, and I already talked about, my notes went up in about purpose. Yeah. For Kenobi, it's the future of the galaxy, specifically centered around the son of the Chosen One. For Ezra, it will be lending his skills to the growing rebellion.
From Obi-Wan's perspective, it is the Chosen One, which I still love. Is that, like, by the end of this episode, everybody's wrong?
We'll get to that. We will get to that because I have notes for that. For Ezra, it's lending his skills to the growing rebellion. Then the no tie on Peridia. Then presumably the New Republic. Ahsoka Season 2 coming to Disney Plus 2026. For Maul, I said his purpose doesn't go outside himself anymore, and to the extent it does, it's the extermination on one person. Of course, Ezra goes off half-cocked on his own, or at least so he thinks. He's pursuing his destiny, or at least a part of it. And then we get to Tatooine. And I have to say, for all of those people who talk about how we go back to Tatooine so much, this episode is not for you. Because the minute we see the yellow-green outline of that planet with two of its moons above it, I felt like so nostalgic. This episode approaches Tatooine and like original trilogy Tatooine sensibilities so well, specifically from A New Hope, that it just feels so right. Like, I understand there's a lot of this episode before we get to the great juicy stuff at the end, but like, just like Ezra getting attacked by Tusken Raiders made me feel a way it absolutely had no right to make me feel, which is I felt like I was home. Like, I was like, yeah, this is right. Like,
yeah,
like, all right, this is Star Wars. We're getting close to the original trilogy. What began this all? This is a Star Wars episode. Not that the others weren't, of course, but like, this just feels special.
100%.
Yeah. Chopper, of course, decides to tag along. We get that. This episode has such gorgeous cinematography. The twin moons light shining over Tatooine as Ezra sets out to find Kenobi is gorgeous. Maul slaughters the Tuskens to save Ezra and Chopper from them. Now they have two red lightsaber wielders to cower in terror from. Poor Tuskens. It's very funny to me, honestly, that Maul never actually, like, even though he's close to Ezra at least once in this episode, never actually talks to him until the end.
Yeah.
Like, he slaughters the Tusken Raiders, and then just decides to fuck off.
Right.
And it's very funny because like it's so clear that he doesn't care about him anymore.
No.
It's so clear that like if Visions and Voices that we were talking about earlier this season was an end to Ezra's arc of no, I'm rejecting this, I'm rejecting the dark side, I'm rejecting you. This episode is Ezra solidifying it. This is Maul trying to say, "Are you sure about that?" And Ezra saying, "You want to play? Because we can play, but I'm really fucking sure."
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it again, like with what you're saying, like Maul's single-minded focus right now. It's so narrow-minded because again, like it's like, oh, I don't need an apprentice, I don't need an army, I don't need an empire. If I do this, I'm fixed. If I do this, I'm fine. And like again, like he doesn't even bother like addressing Ezra, like you said, until like the very end.
Yeah.
With that, like, I will see you soon, my apprentice. Like he's only saying that to taunt Obi-Wan with the idea of like, oh, and I'll corrupt him. Like again, it's like just trying to get in Obi-Wan's head. He just keeps bouncing off because he doesn't give a damn.
You don't think maybe he still kind of delusionally thinks that he can get to Ezra?
I
that's
know
his recurring thing over the.
I think he's. I think how many times you remember how many times Maul this season has said things just to get a rise out of people.
I mean, that is also his thing.
I think that's like what he's doing now. I think he's just trying to get one more jab in to see how much he can rattle Kenobi. Turns out, not very much. Yeah. Again, although a bit monotonous, these sequences of Chopper and Ezra lurching through the desert to find something or someone evokes the theme that I mentioned earlier. Just how important could one person be that two separate people and a droid would go through this much just for the chance of locating him? Yeah. Then Ezra's
Galaxy's armpit.
Yep. Ezra's haunted by the visions and the voices in his head from Maul. Then my notes just say in all caps, the cloak, exclamation point. The cloak made into a silhouette against the twin suns, exclamation point. Cinema. I say that word a lot in my notes for this episode. We get two complete Tatooine night-day cycles in this episode, which I always find is a really great cinematic trick to denote not only the passage of time, but like the growth of these characters and the journey that they go through.
Right.
And they use it so incredibly well here. It's nighttime again, complete with the ambient Tatooine sounds from the original trilogy. We see the dewback. We see the cloaked man. You're in the wrong place, Ezra Bridger. From the moment I heard this line in the Rebels Season 3 mid-season trailer, I knew they had nailed one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, specifically this permutation. We are, of course, 2 years from A New Hope. This is wizard, hermit, and crazy old man, Old Ben, we're dealing with, not Obi-Wan Kenobi, surviving Jedi General of the Clone Wars. Obviously, nothing will ever beat Alec Guinness's iconic trail from the OT of this specific Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Stephen Stanton does a really good job of capturing quite a bit of the magic that Guinness brought in those films, in my opinion. Like, it's remarkable.
I mean, when this comes out, right, Stanton has, as an actor, like on Nerd Academy, like when we're talking about things, like I have a tendency to get caught up on like actor choices. And like if you listen to Road to Doomsday MCU rewatch show, like I'm pretty sure Taylor and I spend at least 10 minutes on a single line delivery from Anthony Hopkins in our Thor episode.
Wait for it. But you're not king.
But you're not king. It's so like, again, it's choices. And what I love about the choices Stephen Stanton makes here is we constantly talk about Star Wars being this beast built out of retroactive continuity. Yeah. And that what is initially in 1977, how did my father die? Pregnant pause.
Beat, yeah.
Does that little rock back and forth. That is in 1977, somebody remembering their best friend being murdered in front of them.
Yeah.
And when did this episode come out? 16?
17.
27. Yeah, you're right. It was 2017 because this came out. Holy shit! Because this came out the weekend of my last High School Musical. Oh my god. Yeah, that's
I
right.
looked it up for the episode, so yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is
Yeah.
right before 40 Years of A New Hope, which I think is great as well.
So, like, in that time, we now know what the Clone Wars are. We know Obi-Wan's fickle relationship with the truth.
Get to later in the episode.
That's one way to put it, yeah.
So, like, we do have all of that now. So when we meet Obi-Wan here, we have more of this idea of Obi-Wan not just being like this world-weary wizard, but somebody who, like, he knows the true secret. Like, and I think that's such a defining factor of the Dark Times era, or the age of the Empire, I guess is what we call it now. But like, this idea that there are a number of secrets that will shatter the galaxy at large's ability to engage with reality. Like Secret 1, the new galactic emperor single-handedly orchestrated a war because he was enacting the end game of the Sith, because he himself is a Sith Lord. Whoa. The other element of that is like all of the cloak and dagger espionage nonsense in Andor. But then the other element to that is that like most of the good guys don't know that like they have count them, two like practically walking virginses in the Force on their side, ready to go when the time is right. Like
Yeah.
I did a guest spot on Girls with Sabers not that long ago, and it never quite occurred to me to phrase it this way until now. Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa are a quarter the Force.
Yeah, they are.
They are a quarter the Force. And in an age where the mysticism has been drained out, having this on your side is monumental. And we need to sit on it and we need to wait on it. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is somebody who not only has the wisdom, but the perspective to be able to speak so authoritatively. And again, it's like all of those choices Stanton makes are based almost entirely on the meaning given to Obi-Wan's moments in the hovel 40 years later.
Yeah.
It's all rooted in that. It goes so much further beyond, again, like, oh yeah, the rock and the pause is because I see it. I see it in my mind. I see this guy named Darth Vader killing my friend Anakin Skywalker in cold blood.
Yeah.
I see it happening, and I'm like, I have to tell his kid about it. Is so different now, and so much of this performance is rooted in somebody who kind of gets to talk about the secret out loud for a little bit.
Yeah. It's
well
truly
said,
wonderful. Yeah. The writing for this episode around Obi-Wan, I think, is just top notch.
Oh yeah.
One doesn't survive as long as I have by being foolish or unprepared. Like,
yeah,
if you can imagine Alec Guinness saying the line, it's a good Obi-Wan Kenobi line. And I can imagine Alec Guinness saying that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, because it's a lot of his. I'm sorry, but so much of his dialogue in this episode is like individual lines that are cousins of shit he says in A New Hope. Like one doesn't survive this long by being foolish or unprepared is like a second cousin of, well, who's the greater fool? The fool or the fool who follows him? Like there's like so many, like there are words that he says in A New Hope that almost feel like strategically and surgically put into the screenplay here to like evoke Guinness.
Yeah, it's
very effective.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible masterwork. Yeah, I had no intention of fighting him, though that seems inevitable now. As Jared, you were saying, and I agree with you a lot. My favorite part of the episode is at no point in this episode does Kenobi want to do this. No. He does not care. He'd rather not. He'd rather never see this guy again in his life. It's the beauty of the ending duel, which I remember there was a whole bunch of controversy right after the episode. But here's the thing. That's how a duel ends if only one of these participants wants to do it. That's how it ends. It ends quickly and swiftly. And we'll talk about the duel more as we get to it, but that's what we're doing here.
I want everybody at home to know what Eli just did was the podcasting version of starting the car 10 minutes before you leave so it can warm up.
Yeah, that's correct. That's that. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you. Anyway,
Definitely
point
does.
being, of course, we knew he wouldn't help the rebellion because of continuity with A New Hope, but it wouldn't make sense from an emotional standpoint either. Obi-Wan is just not General Kenobi anymore, and that's fine. He's doing his part, which of course Ezra doesn't know about, to help the galaxy with the next generation. But this is simply not his fight anymore. In the long run, he knows he'd probably harm the rebellion more than help it. He kind of saw that in Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I gotta say, much like Andor makes Secret Cargo a whole lot better, Obi-Wan Kenobi makes Twin Suns a whole lot better too. Not that it needed to be made better, honestly, but still, yeah. He knows he'd probably harm the rebellion more than help it, and that's fine. There are those across the galaxy who are rising up against the Empire every day, and one of them is on this very planet with him right now. Let them bring the best of what they have to the growing rebellion, and he can do what he can. The princess is safe on Alderaan. The boy is safe here, and once the time is right, they can help to bring down their father, his master, and their whole machine with them. That's not his role, not practically, and not mythologically. And for the sake of this episode, what exactly is the difference? Then Maul goes to wrap up the other outlanding... Did I say Maul? Then Obi-Wan goes to wrap up the other outlying strand of this episode. Maul used your desire to do good and to deceive you. To do good to deceive you. And in doing so, he has altered the course of many things. What I love about this is that only the calming and wise counsel of a venerated Jedi Master, like Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi, could get Ezra to see what has been right in front of his eyes for the last season. It feels to me, this is the first time I drew this comparison, it feels to me a lot like Yoda telling Luke in Return of the Jedi, yes, Vader is your father. Only it's the infamous child psychologist story from Return of the Jedi that child psychologist spoke to George and said, yeah, kids will only know that Vader was telling the truth if it comes to Luke from an authority figure. But I think there's a mythological standpoint that gets created by that, which is like only someone as wise, thoughtful, and relatively removed from the direct situation as Yoda in that case, and Yoda and Obi-Wan specifically in this one, even more removed, could get through to the young hero the truth. Like only through somebody who is seen as like someone who's seen it all and like is somewhat of a neutral force-ish. Again, neutral in massive air quotes, could really get that to Ezra.
Well, there's also something to the idea that like with all of the heinous, horrific shit the Empire has done and that Ezra Bridger has witnessed, what he's never seen is the idea that somebody could ever really think of using one's own kindness as a weapon against them.
Yeah.
And like, and then again, these are one of those instances where like Maul is performing Sidious, where he is performing this idea of you are decisive and bold and willing to do the right thing regardless of cost, maybe to a fault. And I know you won't find me because you haven't been around the block as long as I have. And my kind of like trick of the trade is that I was trained as an assassin first and a warrior second. You will wander around the desert and you will feel grief and terror and fear. And because you can touch the Force, your ripples will go far out. Ezra never considered for a moment, I'm the bait.
Yeah.
Because when Ezra sees the Empire and Thrawn use his magical thinking to like predict what the rebellion is going to do because of a painting, a lot of that is like it's so high-minded and weird, but like it's never just like, I'm gonna make you reveal yourself because I have a gun to somebody's head. Like, it's never that simple, and the simplicity becomes deeply complex to Ezra. And it's like it's because everybody around him is saying, oh, it's like, this can't be happening because how do you know where he is? How do you know Maul knows where he is? How do you know he's alive? Everybody is asking these like very surface level questions because nobody is really computing the idea that you're the bait.
Yeah.
And it's a very young, and if you put your heart in the right place, it's a very young, self-centered thing to do, is believe that you're the key to saving the man who defeated Darth Maul, General Grievous, Savage Opress, Darth Vader, won countless battles throughout the war. You're convinced that your ass is the difference between this guy winning a fight.
Yeah.
And you believe it so wholeheartedly, and you believe in the cause and what he represents, that like, I can use that as a weapon.
Yeah.
Ezra's never seen somebody do something that fucked up before. Hope is a weapon.
You're absolutely right, Jared. And I think it's such a the way that Obi-Wan is able to lay this out so clearly and simply to Luke, I think is one of the master strokes of this episode.
Yeah.
Is the way that Obi-Wan, even though he does not have the answers on how to defeat the Sith, because why would he? Nobody has the answers on how to do that. He does have the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's also kind of telling Ezra, you're asking the wrong question.
He does have the answers.
Sith.
I was going to say, yeah. He does have the answers to all the questions about what brought Ezra here.
Yeah.
Which is actually, as he says, what is it called? What does he say? What you have, you already need. Unfortunately, you seem to be letting it all go. Like, dude, get your shit together. You're already like kind of losing here. Because remember, you're the bait, not me.
Yeah.
And then we get to one of my other favorite lines from the episode. The truth is often what we make of it. You heard what you wanted to hear. Believed what you wanted to believe. Which is such a great companion line to another one of my favorite Ben's lines from Return of the Jedi. Luke, you will find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. There are some empirical truths about events that happen, laws of the universe that keep it held together, but many of the smaller things that we hold as true are simply relative to our own view of them. Being mindful of our own personal biases, questioning if we really believe what we think is true, not getting bogged down in what we believe simply because we believe it. That is the key to avoiding mental domination or getting trapped in endless lies and propaganda. And Obi-Wan has always been one of the staunchest defenders of critical thinking within the Jedi Order. As he will tell a young Jedi apprentice in just a few years, your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. I love so much that Obi-Wan centers back in on the truth and centers back in on how subjective the truth can be. I think it's just genius. Props to Dave and Gilroy.
Yeah. And I think it's another testament to like Obi-Wan's psyche at this point, that like, I don't think an Obi-Wan Kenobi circa the Clone Wars would ever arrive at this conclusion.
No.
I think that is somebody who has watched so much shit go down the way it went down to arrive at such an abstract relationship with the concept of truth. Like,
absolutely.
And I think part of it is like the ways that, like, again, like as much as we hold Obi-Wan Kenobi up in A New Hope as like the mentor and the monomyth and Campbell, and we all know these things, he is deeply jaded.
Yeah.
And like, this is somebody that like, it's one of those things about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that I think kind of goes unspoken, is that like Obi-Wan in many ways becomes a fatalist, and it leaves him in a deeply imperfect place. Yeah. And he is no longer, I don't think he is as heroic as he once was anymore. And it's something that just like makes him such a complicated character.
Yeah.
That some of the unflinching ideals I think he had at a certain point of time, they died.
There's some giving up.
he did some giving up. He's so dedicated to his specific version of the cause that I do think it came at the cost of some crucial elements. Some of that is like an acceptance that, like, there's only one way we can pull this off.
Yeah.
And I think it's a product of his dedication to his mission and a cynicism that is unfortunately well earned.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, there's a lot there that I absolutely agree with. I think that Obi-Wan, at this point, as we've said many times, does have another sort of tunnel vision in this episode as well.
Yeah.
In that he is convinced that Luke, although I would argue now with the advent of Obi-Wan Kenobi, it is now no longer just Luke. It is the twins. That the twins will save it all. That Luke, with his potential as a Jedi, Leia maybe with her potential as a Jedi, but mostly in the diplomatic realm.
Yeah, her potential as a leader.
Yeah, and the strength that comes from both her parents, but specifically, I think Kenobi sees it as he mentions in the show from her mother. Those two can bring down the Empire, and all I have to do is get them to the table. That's all I have to do is get them to the table,
and it'll set off a chain reaction. Yeah,
it'll set off a chain reaction that will blow the thermal exhaust port. Anyway, and I think that, of course, he's right, but there's a whole shit ton of asterisks behind that.
Right.
Of all the other people that have to come to the table to do that. But on a mythological sort of level, he's completely right. But yeah, and now the only one who has gained anything from all of this is me. Which is, I'm sorry, the most dramatic ass entrance I've ever seen Maul ever make, and it's so funny. It's he has to announce his entrance like that is probably the funniest thing in this episode.
And that says a lot for dramatic entrances for this man. When we have Phantom Menace, he is standing behind a closed door for presumably the entire battle in the hangar, just like getting loose. He's got like his space AirPod in, just playing like that at full volume, just getting ready to go fucking ape shit on a couple Jedi scum. And then so we have that, and then we have Solo, where the
Wait, you forgot about the part where the doors open, he stands there, decloaks, turns on his lightsaber. No. Turns on half of his lightsaber, waits, turns on the other half of the lightsaber, just for
psychological
aura.
Warfare, bro.
Yeah,
straight up.
Yeah, again, looks up, drops the hood, drops the robe, draws his sword, ignites it, and then takes a beat, and then turns on the other one and goes, "Now come get this fade." It's remarkable. And then we have this same guy who, again, in the pantheon of dramatic entrances, in Solo, begins his holo call with Kira, not standing in front of a holo projector, not ready to talk, starts like this.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the call, just for the sake of aura farming,
decloaks, pulls lightsaber, ignites lightsaber for no reason.
What's up, dude? Yeah.
It truly, Maul is, if not for Vader, Maul would be the most dramatic Star Wars character of all time.
Can I say something kind of silly that I think Jacob will resonate with, just because I know like Jacob and I are like we were kindred spirits as hip hop heads, and obviously like Eli, I know you like hip hop as well, but like I know this. I think Darth Maul might be one of the most hip hop Star Wars characters of all time. I think this is a guy who has an appreciation of like performance and like an understanding of like how important image is. And it's one of those things that unless you like really pay attention and you are like somebody who like listens to the forebears of this art form speak on it, that you don't fully appreciate until it's pointed out to you just how much like curation is involved in creating the character and like the kayfabe of hip hop. Like I joked about the like that thing, but like I was about to say like Darth Maul's little moment with like the meet me on Dathomir. Like again, like when he was done, I think he pressed play and many men started playing again. I think this is somebody who like has like a hype soundtrack. Like he is somebody who understands like not just the theatricality, but there's a performance element to it. Like Darth Maul should have stopped being a Sith Lord and he just should have started rapping.
Absolutely.
But anyway.
Well, I think my mind when you say it's drawn most, my mind is drawn most to Maul in the Clone Wars, when he's making his comeback, building himself back up with the robot legs, with Savage, and we see behind the scenes, sort of the curtain is pulled back on like what it takes for Maul to create himself as this figure in the galaxy. But I think you're absolutely right. That's an apt comparison, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know Maul's gonna go out swinging. We know he's gonna come in with some shit, some absolute. He's gonna come in on bullshit. He does. Even like he throws the sand to put out the fire. Like it's too much. What do you have?
One of the last things that Obi-Wan says before Ezra leaves, I will mend this old wound. Which Jarod was planning to spring on me, not knowing that I also know Ball. And I also remember the Star Wars Visionary comic issue called Old Wounds, which is beautifully written and illustrated by Aaron McBride, who is a concept artist on Revenge of the Sith. It tells the story. If people haven't read it, please do. It's beautiful. It tells a not even canon to legend story of Maul surviving his bisection by surviving on a junk planet. This is, by the way, pre-TCW, and getting robot legs.
Look like General Grievous.
Yeah, the General Grievous. Forrest Gump-esque missing Obi-Wan by days on both Kamino and Geonosis. And Polis Massa. I forgot about Polis Massa. Finally catching up to Obi-Wan shortly after the rise of the Empire, dueling him very similarly to this episode for being defeated by Kenobi, but instead of Kenobi killing him, he is then shot in the head by Owen Lars for threatening Luke.
Pop.
Yeah, it's brutal, but it's something.
It also involves Darth Maul traveling under the sand like fucking Shai Hulud from Dune. Like
I
he's
forgot
just
about
like
that. Yeah.
Shit's awesome. But yeah, I remember when I first watched this episode, it was like, I will mend this old wound, and I did a backflip.
It's truly incredible. Yeah, this is your way out, your way home, which is just a great line. Standing under this line is Kenobi that feels so warm and wistful, which is great. And then Ezra and Chopper get the hell out of there because it's time for the big guys to play. Look what has become of you, a rat in the desert. Look what I have risen above. A great example of the truth often being what we make of it. Maul sees the great Jedi Master he fought before and during the Clone Wars as a ragged old hobo on this backwatered world, but he doesn't understand the humbling that Kenobi has gone through in order to get to this point. Although he'll never truly reach the heights that he had during the Clone Wars, in terms of how he felt, that is, this is where Kenobi wants to be at this point. And on that second point, yeah, Kenobi is helping the next generation. He has so many rivalries with forces of the dark that he has chosen not to focus on. He isn't interested in directly moving against Palpatine. He settled things to where he wants it, at least for now, with Vader, and he didn't move a finger to search for Maul in the last 17 years. Because he's moved on. He has risen above it. Maul has an inability to rise above. And for evidence of that, I want to turn to a rant that I think we've talked about on this show before. And look, there are things in this rant I like. There are things in this rant I may disagree with. But I think that this is an important point of this rant by another cast member of Star Wars Rebels. Let's watch.
Hero, that's the archetype. Darth Maul, who everybody wants to win, and he's everyone's favorite because he looks sick and he's great in the video games.
Does look cool.
Fuck you guys. He's Sisyphus. He is born to fail. Learn your Greek mythology like I don't know, George fucking Lucas did.
I love when you could hear a little bit of like angry Kanan in his voice at the end. Like I'm thinking about all the different petty Kanan moments over the years.
Yeah, it's great. But seriously,
it was not now until I realized that like when I get worked up on my show, how much I sound like that. It's the placement of the word "fuck."
Yeah,
I don't know, George fucking Lucas did.
It's great. It's truly great. Anyway, the point is, Maul's mapping to the tragic Greek figure is further amplified by the fact that the thing that causes Sisyphus to be banished to his fate, which I was a study, like, I had a Greek mythology sort of thing in like middle school, but I was never like really into it. I did not realize the thing that caused Sisyphus to be banished to his fate is literally cheating death.
Yep.
Just like Maul does. But as Kenobi indicates here, Maul could never be where he is because Maul is incapable of rising above. It is that quality, above all else, that consigns Maul to his fate of constantly rolling the metaphorical boulder up the hill, only for it to inevitably all come crashing down on him. He cannot let things go, and that makes him predictable and incredibly short-sighted. So good. The way Obi-Wan and Maul are able to clock everything about where they are, and it's the complete lack of self-awareness from Maul, and the complete and the complete gaining of self-awareness of not only Kenobi but of Maul that Kenobi has. Like, Maul thinks he understands both of them. He understands neither of them. Kenobi knows he understands both of them.
I mean, so much of it is also, it's the projection, right? It's like, oh, look
Yeah.
what you've become. Like, Darth Maul's talking about himself.
Yeah, he is.
Look what's become of you. That's him talking in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's Darth Maul looking in the mirror and going like, yeah, look what's become of you. You were going to bring the Jedi Order to its knees. And then you are going to establish a criminal empire strong enough to completely throw the Clone Wars off kilter. You were going to operate another new crime syndicate that you were going to have your reign of the galaxy all to yourself. I was going to do this. I was going to do this. I was going to do this. And every motherfucking time, my hubris, my self-obsession, I can't pull it off. And I am a raving madman in the desert. Darth Maul is, in this episode, what other people think Obi-Wan Kenobi is in A New Hope.
Yeah.
He is a crazy, old, screaming, batshit, out of his mind, rambling fucking wizard meandering through the sand.
Yep.
That is what Darth Maul is. Darth Maul is everything people say Obi-Wan is, in a negative sense.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan is secure enough in himself as a person, and with the ego death that he has, he doesn't give a shit. He knows, to quote Sam Witwer again, he knows he is sitting at the most important sentry post in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Despite everything, he has his purpose, and he has what he needs to keep going. And I mean, at this point, I think it's telling that Maul, the amount of times Maul's tried to make the big comeback over and over again. He's like, I'm going to vault myself back into relevance in the galaxy, make a splash and become powerful and change the course of history. And he's not even trying to do that anymore. Like, he's only out for Kenobi. After that, nothing else matters. Like, it's almost as though he knows one way or another, maybe he's going to die on Tatooine. Maybe somewhere deep down, he kind of feels that.
Yeah.
Even if he thinks that the final act is going to be just icing Obi-Wan.
I mean, the psychology of what do you think happens here, I think is interesting. I think that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul's relationship, especially as it's depicted here in Twin Sons, has a lot in common with how I like the relationship between Batman and the Joker to be depicted. And again, I've never been super into the whole Batman needs the Joker as much as Joker needs the Batman. I've never been super into that. I think it's wildly out of character for Bruce to appreciate their relationship. But this is how I like it, because on some level, Bruce pities Joker.
Yeah.
Bruce pities Joker. He that's one of the best parts in Killing Joke in the comic book, where he's like, hey, I want to help you. I want to help you. He cares about him as a person, but he doesn't love this tete-a-tete. He doesn't okay, you killed Jason Todd and you paralyzed Barbara Gordon and you poisoned the city, and look at these bombs and look at this death and look at this destruction. Bruce doesn't enjoy this game. He fucking hates it because he doesn't He doesn't like this guy, doesn't like what he provides. It's not a rivalry to him. It's an
Yeah, it reminds
obsession.
me of the comedic interplay from Lego Batman, where
Yeah.
Joker is constantly trying to be Batman's greatest enemy, and Batman just wants the enemies to be gone. He doesn't care about who's the
Yeah.
greatest.
And that's like the one thing about Lego Batman that I don't particularly care for is the way that like it kind of hinges on Batman admitting it to Joker. Like that's like the one
Yeah.
place where like that depiction falls short for me
Yeah.
because it is the compulsion, you know?
Yeah,
And to quote The Dark Knight, I think that right now Maul is having his like I'm like a dog chasing a car. I don't know what I'd do if I caught it.
caught it. Yeah,
Mm.
Like
It is-
Yeah.
if Darth Maul wins here, what the fuck do you do?
yeah. What is that's
Yeah.
What do
something
you
I
do
put,
now?
that's
He's got
that's what I
nothing left. That's what I'm saying.
that's what I put in my note too. Yeah, like Maul does not have a game plan after this. As you were saying, Jared, if I kill him, he will fix me. How will that happen? It's something you're delusionally promising to yourself, thinking that you'll get there, but like there's no just baseline in any reality from that.
And it's
But-
like I'm sorry, I didn't even speak over you, but like when you look at it, and we'll get into like the anatomy of this fight, and I'm gonna go like full lunatic over it here in a second. Don't worry, but like even down to the whole like little flourish of oh, I'm gonna get you the way I got Qui-Gon. I'm gonna break your nose with the shaft of my saber staff, and then I'm gonna run you through. Okay, how long do you think until he passes out and dies? How long do you think you have to relish in that?
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's one fucking person in the galaxy who's going to know the exact specifics of how Obi-Wan Kenobi died in the Dune Sea, and it's you. Nobody else cares. No one else is going to hear about it. And like, what are you going to do after you're done? Start a third ominously named crime syndicate?
That will ultimately fail against the Empire yet again? Yeah, no, yeah.
That will come crumbling the fuck down because every other like career criminal in the galaxy is either working for the Empire, avoiding the Empire, or is about to join the Rebel Alliance. Dumb fuck. Like,
or working for the Hutts.
or working for the Hutts. Like they're like you have nothing. Again, it's that
Yeah.
dog chasing a car. Where it's like,
Yeah.
yes, you can have your big triumphant moment where you can wax poetic about, oh, and I killed him just the same way I killed Qui-Gon. Okay, Obi-Wan Kenobi is, for lack of a better term, bleeding out in the sand. Is your next step to explain to him what you did while he's fading away? How much of that do you think he's going to catch? Like, there's just so many elements of this where it's full
And
narcissistic,
lunacy.
magical thinking.
And he doesn't know this, of course, at
It's
the time.
lunacy.
But it's been 7 years since Obi-Wan Kenobi. How much training do you think Obi-Wan has had with Qui-Gon? You won't even get the bleeding out. He will
Yeah.
just disappear.
Oh, can you imagine his reaction to that? Can you imagine the alternate universe where Darth Maul wins this fight and he's just like, does the Qui-Gon thing, busts him in the face, stabs him in the chest, and everyone goes, oh. Like, I'm not trying to be grim here. I think Darth Maul just kills himself. Like,
No,
I
I-
truly
yeah.
think he just does lightsaber seppuku. Like, what the fuck do you mean? I stabbed him in the heart and he
He
disappeared.
disappeared.
Like, Vader had more going on than Maul did in A New Hope, and even Vader's like, what the fuck? Like, he starts
Steps on
stepping
the
on
cloak.
it and shit.
The cloak, and it's like, what the hell's going on here?
Like-
Gets the
like,
cloak on his
imagine-
foot.
Imagine somebody whose whole personality is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, gone.
Goodbye.
Like,
Craziness.
he'd lose his shit. He'd lose his shit. Like, there's no, again, like there's no version of this where like you were saying, Jacob, like maybe he thinks he's gonna die. Maybe he, like, I don't know what he thinks happens next. Like, maybe this is his grand plan, is like he does plan to end things after he kills Obi-Wan. I don't know. But he does not have a plan to dismount here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's yeah, the dog chasing a car analogy is great. Maul does not know what he's gonna do if he wins. Frankly, I don't know what he's thinking going into this duel other than I just gotta get revenge. Look at his seething face. But yeah,
And he only gets angrier. He only gets angrier because again, Because like these are one of those few times where Obi-Wan's no selling him. Look what you become, a rat in the desert with your squalor. Oh yeah, look what I've risen above. And again, it's at immediately like it's like he can't land a hit on this guy.
Yeah.
Like
Nope.
he
So what
just
do you-
can't penetrate
Yeah.
it.
What do you
Yeah.
have? It's for the
Yeah.
past 30 years. He just continually, every time he tries to get at Obi-Wan, every time he tries to get him, put one over on him, get his revenge, he just can't nail him down, because Obi-Wan's worldview and his values are sort of incomprehensible to Maul's system of looking at the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan like gets him exactly right. He says like, you only think about taking life, power over others. I do not care about that shit. And Maul just can't comprehend that at all.
Yeah.
It just doesn't compute to him, and it enrages him that he can't like make Obi-Wan feel the same pain that he feels.
Yeah.
Jared, I want to go right into this duel because I know you want to pop off about it.
Yeah, time to let the master
The
work.
lack of duel, you could say, but about the duel still. I have some notes, but I think you're going to cover everything I say, so just go ahead.
So okay, we've all heard the Sam Witwer thing. We start in like the class, like I say classic, but like the Ewan McGregor Sarisu stance.
Yeah,
we
the
come
episode
down
3.
we come down to the Alec Guinness, like Old Ben, like 9-man stance, and then we come back up into the Qui-Gon Jinn Ataru
stance. Yeah.
And I have nothing to say that Sam Witwer did on that specific front. What I love so much, and again, this is another thing I love to talk about, is character exploration through fight choreography. I have it pulled up because I wanted to make sure I was quoting it correctly. One of the main precepts of Form 3, Sarisu, Obi-Wan Kenobi's mastered martial art, is that it is designed for a Jedi to be, quote, the eye of the storm in a violent situation. Obi-Wan, and to pull up another quote from the Revenge of the Sith novelization, this is Mace talking to Obi-Wan before he departs for Utapau. That is so like you, Master Kenobi. I am called a great swordsman because I invented a lethal style. But who is greater, the creator of a killing form or the master of the classic form? Obi-Wan Kenobi has not mastered the art of Sarisu. He is the master of Sarisu. And on a philosophical level, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the eye of the storm. This is a man who has been at the epicenter of every single like massive tumult that has encapsulated the galaxy. From the Naboo Crisis to the Clone Wars to the fall of the Republic and the Jedi Order and the Great Jedi Purge to now. This is a man who has
to some of the origins of the rebellion.
To the origins of the rebellion. This is a man who, through all of those experiences, has lost everyone. Qui-Gon Jinn, Satine Kryze, Padme Amidala, Ahsoka Tano to a certain extent, and of course, Anakin Skywalker. He is the eye of the storm. There is constant chaos and carnage and death and destruction around him, and it has not once marred his soul. We talked earlier about how he has become more jaded, and that's true. But at not a single point has the guiding morality, the core of Obi-Wan Kenobi, changed at all. And I say that, and I think there's also there's like a mildly alternate interpretation of that, where you go, yes, it has a little bit, and it manifests in this like new relationship with the truth and those concepts, and why this isn't the Sarisu guy anymore. Because if you look at the way he fights, and again, a lot of this is again the soup of retroactive continuity and ultra nerdy shit. 9-man form 6 is referred to as the diplomat's form, and there's basically two versions of 9-man. There is, I'm a psychopath about martial arts and I want to be good at everything. And then there is, I really don't care about martial arts, so I want to be competent at everything. And I think with his age and his lack of needing to draw his sword for so long, Obi-Wan has taken up more of those precepts of Nyman, where it is the diplomat's form. It is the form for somebody who is no longer a warrior, or was never meant to be a warrior in other respects. But like, it is the form of somebody who is not a boots on the ground person who is going toe to toe with people on the regular. This is somebody who is a diplomat, who is a scholar, who, when the shit hits the fan, is competent.
Yeah, absolutely.
That guy, and then that's why I think we see him the way he is in A New Hope. As we've talked about this whole segment, Obi-Wan understands what Darth Maul is and what he wants. And he wants to have a big, profound victory lap. And that is the moment where Obi-Wan transitions into and baits Maul by making Maul think for just a moment he is as vain and myopic and trapped in the past as he is, and not only falls into an identical stance that we see Qui-Gon go into in The Phantom Menace, but also the martial art Obi-Wan specialized in during his time as a Padawan, because he and Qui-Gon were both Ataru practitioners. So not only is he evoking Qui-Gon directly with falling into that stance with the sabers up high and to the side at an angle, he's also evoking in Maul's mind not just Qui-Gon, but an element of, yeah, let's do it one last time, and let's think about the first time.
Yeah.
And like that specific element that like there is a like the martial arts, it's not just the same, it's the martial arts, and it's what prepares Maul in how he attacks. That he is going in thinking this is going to be, again, not just the Whitwer Qui-Gon element of I'm going to try the same move, but like I think it's why Maul flings himself at Obi-Wan the way he does. Because in his mind, he's like, oh, he's trying to do flips and shit. We're doing flips and shit today.
Yeah.
And he flings himself at Obi-Wan in that way. And when Obi-Wan first guards that first strike up high to the right, Maul is already choking. Because it's like, oh shit, like he just met me on the ground. Like there was like he didn't fling himself at me. He didn't like feign backwards or evade it in any real way. It's like, oh shit, like he just met me on the ground.
Yeah.
And now Maul has to like on the fly like come up with a new strategy. Because this isn't what he signed up for now.
And the strategy comes too late.
Yeah. And the only thing he can think of is his big piece de resistance. He just immediately goes, oh, fuck. And he goes for that, like shunting him in the face. Not only is Obi-Wan ready for it, not only does Obi-Wan have the clarity of mind to go, yeah, I remember what you did. I'm not obsessed with it, but I remember it. The other thing that I've mentioned so many times on so many shows that is like so profound about this moment. Zabrak physiology is such that they have two hearts.
Two hearts. I remember that. Yeah. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Two hearts, Time Lord style for the Doctor Who fans out there. One on this side of the chest, one on this side of the chest. If you look at the way Obi-Wan cuts Darth Maul, when he goes for the big hit with the saber staff, when Obi-Wan not only cuts through Maul's sword, he cuts through the thing that means the most to Darth Maul, his weapon, his ability to kill, his ability to dominate. He then cuts through to Maul's heart, directly through the sword. Comes down, and again, it's a marvel I've ever felt the touch of a woman that I know all of this, but the blade comes down, comes through, and severs like the tube that connects the two hearts.
Oh.
Wow.
Great.
And not only is it like emblematic of like Obi-Wan is taking is making a graceful, almost penitent, decisive
Merciful.
kill strike on Maul. Like, and you're right, he's very civil. He's not lopping his head off. He's not cutting him apart. He is just cutting both of his hearts away from each other. It's also symbolic of this relationship ending.
Damn.
That it's
That's
like,
good.
it is these two forces that has been Maul's lifeblood, and we're just cutting that connection.
Finally severed.
And And even in that, I just want to keep it moving. And even in that, Maul can't understand.
No.
Tell me, is it the chosen one? He is. Of
And
course,
There's-
they're both wrong about that.
right.
It's completely
You can
understandable
You can understand why
why
Obi-Wan
Ben
thinks
thinks
that's
that,
the case, though. At this point.
especially after Obi-Wan
Yeah.
Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi solidifies that to me with Goodbye Darth, where the prophecy has failed. This man is lost in the darkness. He is to name check a recent book that came out that I'm very excited to pick up, Master of Evil.
Well, not just that. What I also think is compelling about it, like that brief moment before the fight, and also piggybacking off of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, right? It's not just that Maul knows about Luke. Like, Obi-Wan doesn't think he's going to lose here.
No.
He knows. In many ways, Obi-Wan Kenobi is burdened with the fact that he has to
He's
kill
going to put this guy down.
He is burdened with the fact that he is about to kill a profoundly pitiful creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just that he knows about Luke. Reva knew about Luke. Reva made an attempt on Luke.
And Reva chose differently.
And Reva was able to make a different choice. And Obi-Wan makes one last chance to talk this guy down.
And it still doesn't work.
And it still doesn't work. And again, it's that realization that in the off chance he walks away from here, he's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's that recognition of, it's not that you know about Luke. It's that if I let you leave here, you're going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Because it does not matter how low you have been brought, not just by me, not just by the Emperor, not just by the galaxy, not just by the Force. None of this fucking matters because there's no bottom for you.
Yeah.
There is no bottom for Darth Maul.
Nope.
And because of that, you need to die. And even that, and again, that pity.
Down.
You need to be put down. And the pity that is there is that Obi-Wan does not leave him. There's nothing. He catches his body in the distance.
Let's wait for it. Is he the chosen one? He is. He will avenge us. Even in death, Maul will never understand.
Yeah,
it is not about
revenge.
It's not about revenge. It's not about revenge for Kenobi. Never was, never will be. The emergence of the twins is about bringing balance back to the galaxy and vanquishing the tyrannical empire. Not out of a sense of revenge, but out of a sense of justice. I understand those lines can be blurred, but there are important distinctions there, and the rebellion is making them. But still, Maul can't see past his petty quests of vengeance, even in his dying breaths. And that is his true tragedy.
Yeah.
I think that at the same time, though, I think that this is, for Maul, a moment of, in his last moments, this is a moment of comprehension that, in spite of everything that's happened between him and Obi-Wan and the way that he's made Obi-Wan this sort of fucked up focal point of his life, at the end of the day, this is him realizing the forces that have brought us here, that have both caused us both untold misery and tragedy in our lives, it ultimately stems from the same source, and we are ultimately, in some way, in the same boat. And I think he realizes that decades too late, but in his own way, in his language of revenge and vengeance, which is what he understands, he will avenge us. He's realizing that both sort of had their lives irreversibly changed and in some ways irreparably marred by Palpatine and the evil of the Sith.
And even in building off of that, the tragedy of that realization here is so fucking damning because he never realized, like, with Sidious, it's always been this notice me, daddy, notice me shit. It's he wants to impress him. He wants his seat at the table back.
Yep.
He doesn't want to kill Sidious for how he destroyed his life, how he took every single iota of a choice Maul ever had in his fucking life He took it away from him. It's never been about, I want to make you pay for fucking my life up. I want to make you pay for thinking it was okay to send me to get tag teamed by a Jedi Master and his Padawan and thinking I could make it out alive. Well, you had Dooku on the back burner already. None of that ever fucking registered to Maul. Until now. It's only now that he's like, oh, I actually should have wanted revenge on Sidious. Like, he's barely like it's like when we use the term like surface level or breaking the surface, like he literally got a layer of dirt up.
Yeah.
Yep.
As
Yeah,
his
close.
hearts are failing and with his last breath, all he can do is realize he wanted to kill the wrong fucking guy.
Yep.
And none of it was about growth. None of it was about acceptance. None of it was
Change.
about moving on.
Yeah.
None of it was about change. It was, oh, I wanted to kill the wrong fucking guy. No!
And yeah, that's the truth, but it's like 0.01% of the truth.
Yeah. It's like, again, it's so full of tragedy. And again, it's Obi-Wan's pity. It's Obi-Wan's pity, where it's like, I truly believe that in a world where Maul paused for even a minute, this goes a completely different way. Not that Maul wins, but that Maul lives. That like there's an opportunity here for Maul to go, Jesus fucking Christ, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
That like if Maul had that aha moment that he has in death, a moment before flinging himself at Obi-Wan, he like I don't necessarily know if it fully blossoms into him like fighting the good fight, but at the very least he can redirect it.
Yeah.
And like put that somewhere else. This guy can't do that. And it's Obi-Wan's pity that he's like, there was so much potential in this young man, and or a point in time young man, and like just it's that pity where he catches his body, he holds him as he dies.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan just so mournfully laying him to rest. Because like
that's what Obi-Wan does.
It didn't have to be this fucking way. It didn't have to be this way.
All right.
You demanded this.
All right. Okay. Back on Tatooine. That's where it gets back to the Ghost Crew. We got a nice little resolution for that. Back on Tatooine, Obi-Wan rides his dewback seemingly aimlessly into the Junlan wastes until he comes upon a homestead with the twin suns rising on Tatooine. We hear a woman yelling in the background, calling for her nephew, whose silhouette we can see running in the distance. Now we can see what Ben had to strike Maul down for, to protect this boy, to give this boy a sense of peace. Because someday soon, the time will come for this boy, along with many others around him, to spark something big in the galaxy, to spark a new hope. I straight up burst into tears watching this moment last time. The recognition from Obi-Wan, it's time, like the time is nearing, that we are going to start on this journey that all of us know from just under 50 years ago now. Seeing the twin suns rising, getting the binary sunset theme in the background, it just melted me. It really just melted me. And I've seen this episode like 4 or 5 times before, and I knew it was coming, and it still got me. Overall, I want to say this is my favorite episode of Star Wars Rebels, and I think the last hour or so has provided ample reasons for that statement. This is the hardest that Rebels ties into the mythology of the Skywalker saga. It's not easy to do. Even the Rebels team did it once in season 2 with the confrontation between Ahsoka and Vader, but never did I think they would do it so quickly and effectively as they did with the final confrontation between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Maul. Ezra stuff is great, but of course this episode is all about Maul and Kenobi. Both do it great. MVP of this episode is Dave, to me. The writing and the direction, the co-writing with Henry Gilroy and the direction from Dave, to me, is just near flawless in this episode. Such a mournful, but beautiful, but poignant, but bittersweet ending for this character who we were introduced with to an animation, and very quickly they decided, or introduced to the survival of in animation. And then very quickly we would see his ultimate demise in animation as well. Quickly, overall thoughts before we end this very, very long episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy.
I mean, I think I fired every single round I have on this one. I think it's beautiful. I think that I was super behind on Rebels, but I was chomping at the bit to see how the fight ended, and I remember pulling it up on YouTube and being stunned by the video length and being frustrated because I wanted to see these two go at it. And with time, I understood everything I said. Yeah, I think this is one of the best pieces of Star Wars media of all time, and I think it's a love letter to the difference between the Jedi and the Sith, and why, and what the Force is, and what it actually represents beyond just cool magical powers. It's
Absolutely.
philosophy. It's the philosophy.
It is. Absolutely. Co-sign all of that. Jacob?
Yeah, brilliant episode. Brilliantly broken down, you two, as always. I'm lucky to be able to sit here and have my perspective deepened. And in the past couple of hours, I feel like I've taken away so much more through the conversation from two episodes that I already loved, Secret Cargo and Twin Suns. But yeah, brilliant episode. I love how it ends the story for Maul. It's a little bit it's quite heartbreaking, honestly, but it's very fitting. And I think for Ezra as well, it's just cathartic to have Obi-Wan be the person to finally say, hey, it's okay, let it go. Maul's not he's not going to get you to where you wanted to go. He's not going to do what he said he was going to do for you. Just walk away.
All right. And I think on that's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Thank you for sticking around with us this long. Thank you so much to Jarod for playing the third fiddle to us with this episode. Tons of fun every time we have you on the show. Quickly, before I ask you to plug, I will just say next week we are going to be doing some sort of special episode. We haven't figured it out specifically yet, but after this recording, I'm going to talk to Jacob, and I have some ideas. Jarod,
yes,
where can we find all your stuff?
You guys can find me mostly over at the Nerd Academy podcast. As I said earlier, we're doing an MCU rewatch show for Avengers Doomsday, which is just over a year away. By the time this is out, I have no idea what will be on the main feed, but if you're interested in hearing...
Probably, if your schedule goes as planned, probably Thor the Dark World.
Okay, sick. Yeah, so like I said, that's where we're up. That's approximately where we'll be up to in the main feed, but we are like 5 weeks ahead on Patreon. So if you want to subscribe to the $5 tier on the Nerd Academy podcast Patreon, you'll get every episode of The Road to Doomsday early, as well as our audio commentary tracks that accompany that. We've been having a lot of fun. Eli was on for our Guardians of the Galaxy episode. I'm really proud of Road to Doomsday so far, and I hope you guys check it out. Also, Luminous Odyssey, the new Star Wars RPG show we're doing on the All Remaining Systems YouTube channel, set in the High Republic era. It is myself, my co-host on Road to Doomsday, the lovely Ms. Taylor, Alden Diaz, and Joe Organa, DM by Michael McCoy. So go check that out. And then Pro and Noob on the Mitch692 channel, where he's showing me a bunch of anime for the first time. We have seasons on Neon Genesis Evangelion, Dan to Dan, Cowboy Bebop, and right now we're making our way through Attack on Titan. So go check all of that out.
Thank you so much again, Jarod, for staying here for a very, I think probably the longest episode we've ever recorded here on In a Galaxy.
It's contended. I think without a doubt, we've hit that, I think, today.
Anyway, you can find all of our stuff in a Galaxy Pod at Blue Sky, in a Galaxy Pod on In a Galaxy on Blue Sky, at In a Galaxy Pod.social is what I was trying to say, at In a Galaxy Pod on Instagram. My link tree for all of the stuff for everywhere you can find me is linktr.ee/_OGFan327. Epic Confrontations, by the time this is out, we will have recorded Darth Choco versus Brian Fennessy, and hopefully it will be out soon. And so stay tuned for that, as well as our next title match, Alden Diaz, Michael McCoy, 7 rounds to the finish for a potential first title defense or an upset. Who knows either way?
I do know. I sure as shit wear this shirt better than Diaz does.
Not going to debate that right now. I think without further ado, that's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. See you next week. And may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.